Hey Jeff, how are we going?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm well. How about you?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. I'm sorry if I'm a minute or two late. Welcome everybody to our election special. Certainly coming in at an interesting time, and pretty soon we'll have a bit of a blast around the markets and have a look and see what's happening. Um, it does look an election that's partly done to me. Um, I would hope for a Biden win. It's not a political thing for me; it's a personal thing. I just don't like Donald Trump particularly. In fact, professionally, Donald Trump's the best outcome for traders, but I don't particularly like him, and Um, I think the pathways for Biden to win this are getting skinnier and skinnier. I think there's some mail-in votes in Pennsylvania that might. There's a lot of mail-in votes in Pennsylvania that might close it up a little bit. And to be honest, I can see a number of these areas coming back and ending out. I think there's some recounts coming in a few of these places, most likely. Although Clinton didn't take them last time, she did take a medicine and walk without too much court action. We'll wait and see. For those who are completely new, one thing we're not going to do today, we're not going to stream TV shows onto your YouTube because YouTube will kick us out eventually if we do that. I do have CNN sitting on over here. I'm sure that Jeff has something here streaming. Ash will have something else streaming. When we're not on, when we're not live, we will keep an eye on that and bring you that kind of stuff. What we're really looking for is seeing if we can find some opportunities to trade in the market. So reasonably soon what we're going to do is open up some charts and have a bit of a look at what's gone on. And I think the charts tell me some interesting things right now. Does make me wonder what people are seeing that I'm not seeing, because
I'm the same.
there's some stuff that's look, John, keeping safe and watching the spikes. Look, it's one of the things that Julian used to say to me. I don't mean to quote Julian all the time, but one of the things that I really believe is that what you have to do is you have to watch an election, then you can trade an election, right? What you can't do is just trade your first election as a trader. All of a sudden you jump in and do that. That'll end badly for you. But it's really interesting to watch these things and to see how they play out. If we trade today, we'll trade at low risk because different people who'll be watching this on streams and in this coming in and out of the session. I'd imagine it's afternoon in Singapore, so some people are popping in and having a look while they're working, and some will be in and out, and we will trade a bit cautiously. But Jeff, anything you want? So this is what I wanted to say to new people, and just in case you're completely new to this. The US democracy is not really like any other democracy that I'm aware of. It's not the person who gets the most votes that wins, which would appear to me to be democratic. It's based on election college votes, and every area has got a certain amount of votes that go towards the selection of the president. There's 538 election college votes, I'm pretty sure. So you need to get to 270 to win. Now, on the electoral map at the moment, what I'm seeing is Biden well ahead, 205, 136. But I would imagine that that's because they don't have LA, etc., and some big Trump areas to come in and move that map pretty quickly. So we're not interested in who's winning the most votes. We're interested in who's winning the most electoral votes. And the first to 270 wins. My news channel is telling me that Biden's going to speak soon. And I would expect at this stage what you'd get from Biden is, hey, look, it doesn't look good, but we'll wait till the votes are counted. My understanding from, and again, look, we're not electioneers. We don't know any more about this than you do. But in Pennsylvania, there's apparently 1 million mail-in votes that haven't been counted, and there is a feeling that they will favour Biden substantially, and that would close that race back up and make it a little bit tight towards the end of the day, and that could be reasonably important. Biden really needs to swing about he'll lose by about 20 electoral votes. He's got to swing about 20 electoral votes. He's got to take them off Trump, and at the moment he hasn't done a great job of that. And for us, the election is good fun and the distraction. I'm looking forward to. I've been watching it all day. When I've been home, I've just been to pick the kids up, so I've been away for an hour or so. But I love watching it. It's fascinating to watch. I love swapping between the news channels. You watch CNN and Biden's going to win. You watch Sky Sport, Sky News in Australia, and Trump's already won. This is like 3 hours ago. It's like, yeah, guys, I'm not sure you're being particularly objective here, either one of you.
I've got how much we actually know about it, though, doesn't it? I mean, it's a very complex counting system, as far as I can see.
It's one of those things, Jeff, where I think you can strip it back, and a vote's still a vote. It's just that really what you vote for is who your area will support.
Yep.
Right, so you put your votes in, and the party that gets the most votes in that area gets that area's electoral votes. So And the thing that makes it a bit more complicated this time is the polls been open for 2 weeks. So people who voted early when Biden had a lead in the polls probably give Biden a lead. Trump really pushed his followers to get on election day, and people who voted on election day seem to be favoring Trump. You've got mail-in votes that could again be completely different. So it's quite an unusual process to unfold and interesting. I guess I'll put it differently, actually. I would think if you're not into it, it's as interesting as paint drying. I'm interested in it. As a trader, Trump is great news for me. As a human being, I think Trump's a poor decision for the planet. I'd like to see America back on the World Health Organization. I don't get the politics of it, but watching it's fascinating for me. I really enjoy it. And I will continue to look away and have a look at what's going on in the different places as I do these comparisons.
What's your gut feel, mate, at the moment, having watched it for most of the day?
My gut feel is that Trump's got it and got it comfortably. I don't think it's that close. I think Biden's done. But I'm aware that there's other things. And what I'd love you guys to do, I'd like this to make this different. We'll have, we've got Angel in the room, we've got Angel in the room, we've got Angel in the room. Angel, can you watch Facebook? Can you watch YouTube? And guys, let us know what you're thinking and what you're I'd like this to be really interactive. So I've talked a little bit about what it is and what we're going to do, but what I want to do is I want to hear from you guys. If you think Biden's got a pathway, then tell us the pathway so we can talk about the pathway. If you think Trump's only got to do this and do that, we want to know that and we'll talk about that. If you're looking at your charts and you see copper move, then let us know because we want to know that. The truth is that, and this is just for you guys to know, right? The election is the distraction. If I was trading this at home today on my own, what I would do is turn off the election coverage because there's nothing that I hear on the news that the market hasn't already heard and priced in. And as a trader, if I was just trading this, all I'd be doing is watching the charts and I'd actually turn the election off. Now, the charts tell me something interesting. I always like you to go first on charts, Jeff, because you're really, really cool and accurate on charts. And you often bring a different perspective. Do you have some clear stuff to talk about? Or would you like me to talk about something I'm seeing in the charts that really does interest me?
Look, I do have some clear stuff to talk about, but I, again, like yourself, won't be looking to trade them until we've got some clear direction in result terms. And even then, I think we've got to ask ourselves, is it just the presidency that we're concerned about here? And is that what's the market's concerned about? Or is it things that we're not going to know for some time, like the makeup of the House, the makeup of the Senate, etc.?
The Senate looks like it's going. This is fascinating, isn't it, Jeff? If I can jump in, because the Senate looks like it might go the opposite way. That Trump and his Republicans might be the president, and the Democrats might have the Senate, which really means we're heading for 2 years of absolutely getting nothing done. It's just a disaster result for America. We recently had elections in New Zealand, and the party that I would vote for didn't win. But I was really pleased that the coalition on the other side didn't win. One party on the other side won. And they can now govern this country for the next 3 years with no real opposition, and they can get on with what has to be done because it's a time where we need leadership. And having the president be one party and the Senate be another party, the last thing America needs is to be locked in those kinds of negotiations. They need—
And the markets.
Sorry?
And the markets, because it's uncertain, isn't it?
It's absolutely, and it's one of those things that, again, I'll say that, and I'm going to be open. I'm not going to hide this stuff. I'm not even a Biden fan. I just don't really like Trump personally. But America needs Trump to be able to lead them out, or Biden to be able to lead them out. And when you put all the politics aside, the difference is very little, really. But what it doesn't need is either them in power with the Senate on the other side, because that will be difficult. And right now, the world needs decisive leadership and needs people that can make decisions and follow through. And I'll say, if Trump wins, he's at least that guy where he will sign off stuff without seeing it approval if he wants to. And I think that right now America is looking for that, and the world is looking for that kind of leadership. I'd rather it came from a better guy. Sorry, Jeff, I don't mean to interrupt. You're talking about the Senate thing. I just want to jump in. As we're all welcome through, I just want to, before we come back to it, just want to welcome Ainsley. Ainsley, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Oh, sorry, I've got a mouthful of food.
My dinner's tucked away over the left-hand side when I come off screen as well. When I'm not talking, I'll be muted so I can have the CNN stream on so I can watch that as well. Jeff, you were talking about charts, and I'm really keen now to get in and have a look at charts. Do you want to lead, or would you like me to lead into charts?
I'll lead if you like. That's fine.
Actually, sorry, Jeff. I did interrupt. Do you have more stuff on the election?
No. That was my point. My point was exactly that. Although that we may know a president, and I don't think we'll know a president today. Well, not in the next few hours anyway, because I'm hearing things like people have stopped counting. They say they're not going to count till tomorrow because it's too hard. Hello, that kind of stuns me as well. But
sorry, mate, a bit of a cough still from the cold. Sorry, Jeff. Just to put some context, and we all hear these things differently. I think they've stopped counting because it's 1 o'clock in the morning where they are.
Yes, but it is a presidential election, isn't
it? Yeah, look, I get that. And it's one of those things that America loves the pageantry of it all, right? Mm-hmm. And some states will continue tomorrow. What we'd like is to have enough voted and counted to feel like we know where we're going. And
yeah, I agree.
I'm with you, Jeff. I'm not sure we will. And I'm just keeping a bit of an eye. They're doing it again here. I don't know how many times I've seen this guy. They expected this one to go and it hasn't. They expected this one to go and it hasn't. So their pathway is through here. And he's got to get one here and one here. And if he does, he gets 272 and Trump gets 268 and he wins.
Yeah, speculation at the nth degree, isn't it?
It really is. And I do want to get the charts.
I must say, I'd like to have one. It is a cool map, though. I'd like to say.
Oh, that'd be neat to do it courses on, wouldn't it? Just push the thing.
Yeah.
And guys, I think what we're going to do right now, I don't want to stream this stuff, but Joe Biden is coming out on stage to talk. And it looks like from a distance, he's got a mask on. He's taking it off. And if you're okay to talk for a few seconds, I'm going to listen to this and then update him if that's okay, Jeff.
All right, mate. Yep, I've got it going in the background also on a different channel. So
you can do charts. That would be cool. Would you want me to do charts and you listen to Biden?
No, I'd rather do charts. that's where I'm most comfortable. I'm going to start with what I consider to be the risk on currencies, and we've seen through Monday, Tuesday, and almost up till when did this start to go south? Certainly until late in the US session, but it looks like it was actually into Asia session or just before Asia session, where the risk on currencies started to lose ground. Now, of course, that was part of the election as well. And we went pretty much from risk on big time, Monday, Tuesday, to risk off, pardon me, and just took all of that risk off the table. And that's what it looks like to me right now. We're in neutral zone. And all of that risk on that we saw through the Aussie on, and not just the Aussie, all the risk on pairs like the CAD, like the Kiwi, and the yen going in the opposite direction. Swissy, not so much, but we saw definitely a risk on through Monday and Tuesday. Today, as I say, I think that's all been wiped out and we're now in a neutral zone, which is not surprising because guess what? We don't know the election result. And until we do, all of this volatility that we expected, and I expected probably a little bit more at this stage, has kind of settled down a little bit. I don't know when I'll be ready to trade this again. I mean, I'm still in this long that we took when yesterday. We got into this yesterday, I think. And my thought process was that I just wanted to get in and be free trading before the election. My fear was that my stop wouldn't be wide enough. It doesn't really matter if my stop gets taken out because I'm a winner regardless. But that said, I would much prefer to see a clear result and a dollar tank, a US dollar tank. And that would put us up to here and in really good shape for some nice banking. Whether that's possible or otherwise is entirely up to probably the election result. But that said, technically, we've got a beautiful break and retest of not only this resistance trend line, not only the monthly pivot, the daily pivot and the weekly pivot. So from a technical point of view, as soon as the market settles down, I'll be absolutely willing to maybe even put an entry above here and scale into this. As I say, can't lose. So that's my luxury, I guess. That's not the only one. And I've concentrated on the risk on currencies, as I've said, because I believe that the market was in a risk on state of mind coming straight out of the weekend. And it didn't even matter that the Australian dollar or the Australians Reserve Bank cut interest rates yesterday. It still didn't make any difference. The market had this appetite for risk, and it was kind of insatiable. Now, as I say, that's come back, and I think we're in a neutral state of mind. I think the market has settled right down. And I'm looking for things like CAD Swiss to go long, because again, going back to the risk on, risk off scenario that we've been witnessing really for the last 2 weeks. It's kind of Miyagi one day and Mr. Miyagi the next day. It's wax on, wax off, and risk on, risk off. I think, as I said, we're in a neutral position now, and that's a good place to be, because as soon as we now know a result, I think we go back to where we started if the market hasn't swung around too much. So if we go back to risk on, then I think these currencies like CAD Swiss, like Aussie dollar, like Aussie yen in particular, will pick up rather swiftly. I've steered clear of anything against the US dollar apart from the Aussie, as you guys who have been watching the YouTube shows would know, and there's good reason for that. It's not to do with the election. It's to do with what the charts have been telling me. And the charts were telling me, and anybody who was in the show on Sunday would have seen my analysis on Aussie US dollar. And as I said, the only thing I could possibly have been would have been bullish, given that we had a very, very strong support horizontal level. We had a break of a long-term trend line. We had a retest of that. And we also were at the bottom of a range. So there was absolutely no way I wasn't going to trade this long if I got the opportunity, and I did. That will continue as soon as we know, my bias, of course, will continue as soon as we know how this election is going to pan out. If it turns out that the dollar strengthens, and to be honest, I've got absolutely no reason to think that apart from probably the obvious commentators, I've got no reason to think that Joe Biden will make the US dollar turn around and go long, nor do I think Trump can do the same. I think the dollar suffers no matter what, in my humble opinion, but that's fundamental. It's not charts. But what it does do is give me exactly what I had before. And if this market sentiment doesn't change too much, then we've still got those setups. So it's Aussie long against the US dollar. If we go risk on again, which is entirely possible, but it's also entirely possible that we go the other way. I've got another market structure here on Aussie yen that tells me we're bouncing off the bottom here. So if everything calms down and we get a nice little signal, which we have already got almost, with this bar here, terribly difficult to trade that bar, I've got to say, but we've got a clear false break of this support trade line at a good spot. Monthly pivot the same. So as soon as this all settles down, I've still got these nice entry levels to go on with. But it depends, mate, I think pretty much on whether the market sentiment stays risk on as it has been Monday, Tuesday. And if we do get a result today, which I doubt, I think that's exactly where I'll be pointing in favor of the risk on scenario. Because if we do get a clear result, then the market should return to what it went into the election on, if you like, and even better, because there's now clarity. The one fear is that, as we discussed before, that we won't get that clarity, and we won't get a clear result where we've got a president that's one party and a Senate that's another. That's the issue for me at the moment. So I think it's powder dry until we kind of get a good pointer on that. But the charts are still talking to me. You know, the setups are there. Technically, the issue is the size of the candles now. How do you handle that?
Mate, I'm keen to have a look at some charts and get Andy to do the same thing. I want to make sure we're running through charts reasonably quickly. I'm looking for different things as we go along at the moment. Thank you for that. And look, Biden just came out and said that he was confident that his team would win, and that it wouldn't be till tomorrow. But he ran off a number of places that where he said he thought they would win. Many of them that they're trailing in right now. But there is this thing about the postal votes and whether they're going to help Biden. And there is a feeling they will. I do know in Pennsylvania, I've said there's supposed to be 1 million postal votes, And the guy that I heard, who was everyone hears different guys, so this isn't gospel. He said Biden will win at 3-1 on the postal votes. That puts Pennsylvania back in in the possibility. So there's a pretty big row going on amongst the media at the moment, starting to break. Different news organizations have given Arizona to Biden, and the Trump guys don't like that, because if Biden does get Arizona, that does make it a tighter contest. And the latest news is that Trump has just tweeted they're trying to steal the election. I'm not quite sure whether they're going to take it away in a bag or a truck. I'm not quite sure where they're going to put it when they nick it. Maybe they're going to hide it in the house when they get home. I'm not sure. You know. When I was young, I once stole some lollies and I just ate them. So maybe they're going to eat the election. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago, guys. I apologize to them. Give them some money the next day. But I'm not quite sure what they're going to do when they finish stealing the election. But I do want to have a look at some charts. I'm going to run through some stuff. I'm going to invite Angie in straight after and get her to have a look at some charts. I think one of the things that we want more than anything else is to be on charts. Had some stuff come in the chat. I'm going to go through that as well. Some states, e.g. Pennsylvania, accepting mail ballots postmarked November 3rd. May not be swift results unless electoral landslide. And I think, I think Trump's going to say that any vote that turns up in the mail after the close of polls today shouldn't be eligible. That voting closes at the end of the polls, and stuff that turns up, no matter what, after that shouldn't be counted. And we'll wait and see if that's what's going on. He says they're trying to steal the election, and if anything happens that Biden wins, I am definitely going to miss. Who has enough to win, James? I'm definitely going to miss the humor of the man. He has always got something to say that is a little bit interesting. Look, I'll be back with you guys in a second. I just need to. I'm back on another computer and I don't have it set up as I thought I had it set up. I'm just gonna have to make some changes. I'm just gonna make sure this is all okay. What I'm going to do in a minute is I'm just going to take you through some stuff that I consider to be, some key stuff to have a look at in these kind of circumstances. I'm just going to talk about what I think is happening. I'm going to invite Jeff and Ainsley to jump in and offer anything they want as we go through. I will share screen now if the great Zoom will let me, the great God Zoom. And look, here's what I see that I find really interesting. I'm going to go through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break these down for now to 4-hour charts as I go through. Remind me for each one because I'll forget because I'm sure. I've got to move you guys' pictures over here if you guys don't mind. So Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin today tells me nothing. So I'm just going to leave that. And here's the NASDAQ. And interesting for mine on 4-hour charts. In the very early stuff today, it looked very much like Biden was doing very well. But as it became clear that Trump was going to win this, we've seen the NASDAQ really, really buy up. And now we've seen it sell back halfway through the candle. And it suggests to me that people with the money aren't as convinced as everybody else in this result. That there's something they know that's of interest to them. And I'm going to say that not only is it happening on the NASDAQ, but moved up, pulled back off that top. And I know it's a horizontal level, but really in the middle of the US election, I don't think horizontal levels make a hell of a lot of difference. Euro. Let's get each of these back to 4-hour charts. Sorry. I did say I'd do that. I did tell you guys to remind me because for some reason I'm terrible at this. Look at this for a pop back on that 4-hour bar. And it doesn't just pop back because it's an election it likes to ricochet. It pops back because there's a change in sentiment. And in the last few hours for mine, there's some change in sentiment here. And I would have thought a Trump win would be good for the markets. So there's something that I'm seeing here that makes me go, just as a trader, like if I didn't have the euro, so that the dollar went way up, pulled way back. Oil to 4 hours, not so clear on the oil chart. We've done a euro, dollar yen, 4-hour chart. Same look, and gold, and
Yeah, 4-hour chart. Yeah, look at that.
Big. I mean, this bar here is about a $40 range. It's a pretty good big bar on gold, but again, later on, it pops up and pulls off it. And my feeling is, and I haven't broken these down to hourly charts to have a look, is that what I'm going to say is that in the last few hours, and I can't tell you exactly what time they're doing the pathway again over here. He's going to say if he wins this one and this one, and this turns blue. What I'm going to say is that for mine in the last few hours, As this turned to Trump, I think these things brought, and somehow they're selling. And that just makes me think there's something in the analysts that just don't like this. What I am going to do is I'm just going to go back to, I'm going to use gold. I'm just going to jump in an hourly chart. And I'm going to say, so I'm going to use New Zealand time. This is the 6 o'clock bar, the 5 o'clock bar, the 4 o'clock bar. So 2 hours ago, I was buying up and Trump looked in control. And all of a sudden in the last hour, they just don't look convinced to me. And one thing that I know, Jeff, is that the market knows better than I know. And, around 4 or 5 hours ago in New Zealand, but in the early stuff, Biden looked pretty good. But that 6, 5, 4, 3, that's a solid move here on the dollar, right? And it's just unfolded. And I don't think it's unfolded because of anything technical. I think this is a fundamental based move. I don't think it's got anything to do with the price of oil or GDP or, look, massive news came out today that New Zealand unemployment's risen, but I don't think that's impacted the markets particularly today either. So for mine, I have, as we go through these hourly charts, as a trader, I look at this and go, I don't buy this. I just don't buy this right now. And, perhaps
I thought it was that I think we've gone from a market, it's a market sentiment shift. It's, as you say, exactly the same thing. We've gone from a massive bullish or risk on market to a neutral market, in my opinion. I don't think it's reversed. I think it's just gone back. Well, same thing, I suppose, gone back to where it began. So in neutral, and I call it neutral.
In the time after Trump got elected last year, the euro dropped 300 pips and then recovered 300 pips the next day. And so if this move has certainty, I don't think these moves are big enough. So I do think there's a change in sentiment. And I'm not saying, well, actually, no, I'm going to say this. The people with the money, they've gone, I think there's a 60-40 in favor of Trump, and we're prepared to invest this much. And right now they're going, actually, I've got to stop. I need more confirmation. There's a pathway they see that they think is realistic to a different outcome to the one they were trading earlier on today, from what I can see. And I see it across all of the charts. And, big move up, tops out, sells down. And this is the time where it's becoming more looking, So this is Trump taking control. This is, so what I would say, Jeff, is that, and again, I'm interested in both your thoughts on this. For me, if I'm going to trade this, if I'm going to really get into this, I might end up having to get down to some shorter time frames to get an entry. But what I want to see here is some conviction in the move. Now, if this was going on election day, you could get me to jump into that move because it's a momentum move based on millions of people deciding they know the outcome and trying to get involved, and particularly the big funds with the big money. But this does concern me, and it's the same on when I go through these. Up, 3 big bars up, 2 bars down. 3 big bars up, 2 bars down. 3 big bars up, less clear on oil, but oil is a bit weird at the moment. 3 big bars down, 3 bars back up, which is 1 big bar up, 2 bars down. I don't see clarity in this market. And if I was going to trade this live right now, I'd need to see clarity in this market. And I'll be really interested, if look, there are different ways you can trade this stuff. And I might talk as we go through the show about some different ways you can trade this stuff and get involved in all the rest of it. But I don't look at this and think, I think if you ask the consensus of people on the planet, the majority of people would say, well, now Trump's going to win. But I don't know if the people with the money are quite as convinced in that as the average person is. Interested in thoughts from both Jeff and Angie on this. If you guys are in the room or if you're on YouTube, put your thoughts and let us know your thoughts. And if you've got some different timing and some different stuff, that'll be cool. Just let me know.
I think if you look at, you know, as a part of the great unwashed, if you like, which is a term that a dear friend of mine used many, many times, you'll be looking at the count now, which is something like 236 to 174 or something like that. I haven't seen it for a few moments, but you'd be thinking, well, how does Trump win from there? But that's not the picture, is it? There's a whole...
Trump is clearly ahead in major states that haven't got enough votes in to be called.
Yeah,
but he's not going to lose them, you know. So the real truth is, the thing is that Biden at 236. If I'm and help me out if you can remember, but Trump 304, Hillary 336 last time.
No, I don't remember.
But if you've got Biden
like
at 236, he's doing okay. And but one of the things that they're talking about on CNN, I can see the picture again, as they're saying that. Here's the picture at the moment, and Trump's in front by this, but of that, only 17% of the, or in this case, 38% of the early votes have been of the votes, the early votes, and there's another 30% of the early votes to be counted, and they will favour Biden, and I think that's the pathway. So Pennsylvania, 16% of the early vote is counted, and they expect, and Biden's down by 600,000 votes, but they expect 45% of the total vote to be early votes. So there's a massive amount of these postal votes to come in. The guy I heard said a million. He said he gave 500,000 lead, 500,000 or 50,000, 500,000 to Biden in that area. And all of a sudden that competition seems a lot closer. And, you know, it's one of the things where I've got to say this, right, that then please, you know, I've got to see some comments coming in. Ainsley and Jeff, if you want to jump in, just jump in.
Yeah, I was just trying to look at the Hillary Clinton, but yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Well, what you were saying before, the election in 2016, it was exactly the same thing where Hillary Clinton was the firm favourite and Trump was considered a bit of an underdog. And I think a bit like Brexit, nobody could actually believe that Trump would get in. And he did. And the market flipped. The whole sentiment changed. It was the idea of Trump getting in and the US dollar was taking a nosedive. And then all of a sudden it turned around when the market sentiment changed and it took off. I remember that happening because I was I remember being in a trade thinking, yes, I'm doing really well. And then I was like, okay, not doing quite so well. But it's amazing how that Trump, the reaction to Trump it just seems to be so polarizing.
Oh, look, in his events this week, he's been, people have been chanting, "We love you" to him, and he's been yelling back, "I love you too." It's honestly,
he's going to kiss all the men as well, isn't he?
It's reality TV.
I can't wait for the movie or the miniseries. It'd be great.
I think it's called The Simpsons.
One person that can play Donald. Donald will play Donald.
The biggest question there is it going to be a comedy or a thriller? Not sure.
Well, a bit of each. I said to my market update on Sunday that I thought it was highly unlikely that gold would be in this range come Thursday morning, and it remains inside this range, which is doubly frustrating. But again, what it tells me is I don't think the market's convinced. This is a gold market that's been waiting for a decision here, and I just don't think it's convinced. CNN's doing a nail-biter election, and I'm not listening, so there must be. I mean, there's clearly a feeling that these mail-in votes will favour Biden and could pull these margins back. And the margins I see, they're not close enough to go to recount. You can't lose by 200,000 votes and go to recount. But if you lose by 30 or 40,000, then you really can.
Do you think that's going to stop him? That's not going to stop Trump if he's behind. It doesn't matter how far he's behind.
Oh, look, at the end of the day, my recollection of this from the last time they did it was that, and Clinton didn't do it, but the one before I think it was, that you've actually got to go to court and show due cause. You've got to be able to say, look, it's so close inside the margin of error, or a voting machine jammed, or something went wrong. You've actually got to go to court and say that. You can't just say in America, I want a recount of every particular thing. And one of the things that I do think, and there's a bit of stuff here, and again, happy you guys to jump in on this. People in the thing, if you want to jump into this. Right now, for me, by the way. We're really here to trade, right? I'm happy to have the conversations, and Jeff, I know you'll have lots to say about this. I want to get you back into this, but there's not much to trade at the moment. So we need to watch and wait for some stuff to trade. We'll talk and we'll watch stuff. We'll update. I don't believe that there'll be genuine social unrest in the US no matter what the result is. I think that's media crap. I just really don't think that. This is a country that prides itself on being the greatest democracy in the world. I don't know why, because the democracy is completely insane. But I would expect people in that country to accept eventually. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. There could be a couple of crazies going to do crazy things. But America, there's we could be more than a couple of crazies going to crazy things. There's more than a couple of crazies in America. But I think overall that both parties eventually will accept, and including Donald Trump. I think if he's genuinely beaten, I think he'll actually genuinely walk away. And he won't love it very much. Great quote from him this morning. He said this morning that winning is easy and losing is never easy. And people say you've got to work. People always talk about you've got to work really hard to win. And it's true. But the truth also is that the moment is devastating for the loser. And there'll be some disappointed people. But I still think Trump, well, again, I said this before, if he doesn't walk away, the military will move him. I'm interested to call Jeff and Auntie back. And any more thoughts on this at this stage?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, looking at that poor 4-hourly gold chart, you're on it now on a daily. If you went to and that's just bouncing around inside that range. And I can't make head and tail. I mean, I was looking at it and I thought that we had a bit of a good move up. They were starting to get yesterday. We were seeing a bit more of an increase in the move. And I once it clipped 1900 yesterday, I'm thinking, I might put a small position on and position myself. And if it takes off, then I can scale into it. And before I went to bed last night, I put a really tight stop on it, like 1950 or something like that. And during the night came back and clipped it out completely. But it's whipsawing all over the place, but it is staying in that range. Even that last, you can see where the bars are closed, even tighter than the white rectangle that you've got going there as well. So that shows a lot of indecision at the moment. And when on the backdrop of, there's two things happening here with gold for me is we've talked about it before, and we're running into that next 4 to 5 week period of seasonality where gold sells off. And then on the backdrop of that, we've got a lot of the long-term holders of gold and a lot of the reports that we heard coming out during the year of gold going to 2,500 to 3,000. Now, reading through a lot of those reports to see whether people have changed their, institutions or analysts have changed their mind on that direction, they still are holding firm on that 2,500 to 3,000 for year end. Now, let's just see what we've got to get through in the next couple of weeks through all this indecision and see where we are.
I think that's exactly the point. And I think, and I've been counselling that we should be looking at the big picture. And I don't think the big picture is going to change too much, because whatever's been in the market for the last 3 months is pretty much going to play out either way anyway. But it'll in a monthly chart or even a seasonal pattern that you're looking for, I don't think that's going to change a thing. I think what you expect will still happen from a seasonal point of view, no matter who wins this election, because I don't think it's going to make that much difference. Well, that's the way I've been approaching. I've been looking at monthly charts to get my opinions, and right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 charts that I'll be looking very, very closely at as soon as we get this noise over and done with. I think that's the way to go. I think the big picture still remains, and just wait for it to kind of go in that direction and then trade it. That's what I'm going to do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've got, like I said, I've got that December. I do tend to hone in on gold in December. Obviously, I like that time of year. It's a really good time of year. There's a reason my Christmas tree is also decorated in only gold decorations. as well.
You're not superstitious at all, are you?
No, I just have to like the gold, and the kids are just like, yeah, mum, back off. It's just weird.
So
Anyway,
you get Ferrero Rocher for Christmas. It's wrapped in gold, right?
Yeah, I've got the gold vibe happening. Got to have the gold vibe happening. But can I go back to an Aussie chart, please, Paul? Can you pop an Aussie chart up? Because it was a very interesting trade yesterday. And well done you, Jeff, because you called it a couple of weeks with the not last couple of 4-hourly bars, but yesterday I had a nice run and I had a nice win on the Aussie dollar.
You got into it? Good girl.
Yeah, I got into it.
I'm still in it, but I've taken a bit of profit off the table, I must admit.
Yeah, I locked in 80 pips this morning and just said thank you very much after that, because we knew that the interest rate cut, as small as it would be, was in, it was factored in. And then I heard it's risk on, and then I just had Bloomberg on in the background. It's just like, it's a risk on market. I went, oh, hello. And I jumped in and I pulled some good money out of that this morning. So by the time that had clipped off, so that was cool. But yeah, you called that one a couple of weeks ago because I presented the chart for you when you were busy watching.
Oh, that's right. Yes, indeed. Well, I was still singing the same song right up until yesterday.
What was the driver? Given that interest rates did cut in Australia, was it the risk on market, or was it something in the statement?
Risk on market.
Risk on market. This by that stage, everybody had gone home. It was well past 4 o'clock in Sydney. But yeah, it was the risk on market that really pushed it. But everything had been factored in. There was not enough in the interest rate cut. Or even in the minutes thereafter to actually, there was nothing in it that we didn't know that was already going to happen to push the Aussie dollar lower. It was just like, yeah, okay, we knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a good technical reason why it was going to bounce at that point, and as we said, it doesn't matter if they cut the interest rate. Everyone's doing that. It's kind of a sport these days. It's a race to zero or negative. And so why would an interest rate cut really make that much difference? Of course, you're going to get a knee-jerk reaction from the market, and we got that. Yay, we got a better price. That's exactly what we were looking for that exact thing to happen. So I wish it was that clear cut every time we had an interest rate decision, but sometimes it just ain't. But yesterday was not one of those times.
Yeah. But it was a good move yesterday, but today's obviously another day.
Indeed, and anything can happen. But as I said, I just want this to be over and done with, so that those big picture things can continue the way they've been. And in many respects, a lot of them haven't been doing that. If you have a look at, and when you're ready, Paul, I'll have a look at a couple of charts again that tell me that we've been waiting on this thing to happen. EuroCAD's one.
I'm keen to have a look at the chart. It was an interesting statement. The purchase of 100 billion of government bonds for maturities of around 5 to 10 years over the next 6 months. The bank remains prepared to purchase bonds in whatever quantity is required to achieve the 3-year yield target. Any bond purchase to support this target will be in addition to the 100 billion bond purchase program. It's a pretty, that's a pretty bullish.
It's not a bullish statement, is it?
Sorry?
It's not a bullish statement, is it?
It's not a bearish statement. It says that we're going to support this market no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's interest rates down. It's supposed to try and, it's one of those things. Inside the context, what they're really saying is that we think the world's still crap. We're still concerned about it. But they're certainly saying, and I really like this. And look, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's about to get told off for having done this. But I think in these times, making a statement saying we're in this and we're in this for the long term and we're going to make sure it works. They're basically saying they're in this long term.
But doesn't it also say that we're going to provide stimulus and therefore potentially weaken the dollar? certainly not it's not bad for the economy, but it won't be good for the currency
Look, I think
relative
that
to that country. I wouldn't have thought, but then everyone's doing it. So
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think
that's
that would have been even 3 to 6 months ago, Jeff. That would have been the prevailing theory. But
mm,
right now, what happens is we go, well, that means that the Aussie Stock Exchange is going to jump up because people are going to pile money into stocks, and that because companies are able to do bond yields and get footed by the government if they need to. I think that the market's changed. And this, look, you'd love it, mate. You should have a read on what's it called, Modern Monetary Policy. Have a read on that, Jeff. You absolutely love it. I mean, I don't want to distract this conversation from the election, and we've got a bit of stuff. I'm looking at the map now. They've got Biden 244, Trump 230. So boy,
wow,
it is pretty
really?
close. And that's
nice.
I got 223, 212. So you're ahead of me.
I've got 246, 24. Hold on, I think he's just showing what happens if different things happen, right?
Ah, yes.
So he's showing what Trump's
I was going to say, where'd you pull those out of?
It's really funny.
It's still very close now. 223, 212.
Biden
Wow.
Pennsylvania. There must be a lot of votes to count if he can come back from 700,000 votes behind. Wisconsin's close, 100,000 votes there. That could change depending on how many votes win for that. Arizona, again, Biden up by a couple of 100,000 votes. Suggestion is that postal votes will get him home, but again, not something the Republicans agree with particularly. So I've just seen it again where, Jesus, according to these guys, Biden's at 290. Now he's at 274. So,
yeah, they're this happens if this happens. Yeah.
so
apparently, Florida's over. He's won Florida, which was important.
Shoulders. I'd like you to have a look at that in a minute, Jeff. And someone was asking me to bring up a chart, weren't they?
Krista was looking at pound yen on an hourly.
Do you want me to bring it up, or do you want to bring it up? I'm going to draw some lines on it, so it might be better. I'll bring pound yen up.
Yep.
I'll bring up the hourly.
Just while you're doing that, in reply to your question, Helen, a position up or down on gold or do both, I wouldn't do either. Can you see the way it's whipsawing around at the moment? If you had a position either side of that consolidation box, you are likely to be taken in and for it to immediately turn around. So just leave it until we have a clear direction on which way you want to go. I mean, you can have a hedge, but you just look at the size of those bars. They're just whipping around at the moment, especially with gold. We know gold has a tendency to go screaming in one direction and then just stop or in reverse and go back up the other. So just be really careful with that.
Look, if I'm looking you to talk about pound yen because you're more, you've done a lot of stuff with Ash and, he's the head and shoulders expert in the world. And I'm looking you to do that because I'm not a big head and shoulders trader, but I think it's worth having a look. Angel, can you give Shukri a link into this, please? While you were doing that, I was going to ask a couple of questions. And look, I'm going to ask the guys in the room to comment on this. How many of you are sitting at home with an itchy finger? Where what you really want to do right now is find a way into the market. How many people are sitting at home and experiencing, hey, I'd really like to find a way into this market? How many of you are doing that? How many aren't doing that? Can you put it in the comments box and let us know, please? How many of you are looking for a way into that? Really you're sitting at home and you can feel yourself trying to find a way in? And how many are sitting at home thinking, not just that I'm going to stay out because I should stay out, but I want to stay out? Can you let us know in the chat, please? How many of you want to trade right now and are looking for trades? And how many of you are trying to stay out of the market? If you could put it into the chat for me, I'd really appreciate it, please. Jeff, I might get you to do pound yen while I wait for...
Okay, sure thing.
Look, I'm not asking what you're doing. I'm asking what you feel like doing. Because I think this is one of the things about trading. Right, this is a market right now, if you ask me, that's doing absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an exciting day when nothing's happening, right? If your hand's going up, cool. So you can say this, and I'm going to ask the others in the room, right? If you ask me as a human being whether I want to trade right now and get involved in the US election, my emotional answer to that is yes, I do want to do that. But I'm not going to do that because I'm a professional trader and I don't waste money doing that kind of stuff. But I still feel like I want to do that. And part of trading, Helen just said, should we take a long and a short? And that's just a way of trying to find a way to satisfy that part of you that wants to trade. And the answer is, even if you're going to be on them. And it's funny because everyone's telling me it's too volatile, and I'm watching it move like 3 pips in the last 30 minutes and going, whatever's been happening, the volatility is taking a break right now while we have a look for what's coming next.
Indeed.
I don't see much volatility right now. I'll just have a quick run through some charts, but I don't want to get away from them. But that doesn't look like a massive hourly bar to me. I mean, we're 20 minutes into the hour. That doesn't look like I don't think right now we're seeing much volatility at all. I think right now, well, this is a market that's waiting. And it's possible that we've, obviously with NASDAQ and S&P, those markets will be closed and we'll be in a synthetic market in real time. But dollar yen this hour, nothing. Gold this hour, a little bit. Euro dollar, not much. So I don't see much. And
we're on my chart, mate. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, mate. I thought we were on. No, that's cool. We're on your chart. I can't see what I'm supposed to see then. The point being, can you guys see Jeff's chart on my chart, please?
Your chart.
Right, we're on my
really?
chart.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay. And I just don't think, my point really is at this stage, understand the difference between feeling driven to do something and making a good decision. And, the truth is that these markets are really volatile, but not right now. And what we're really looking for them to do is to be volatile and to take off in a direction and convince us in that direction. And that's really what I'm waiting for me anyway. That's what I am waiting for. Got to say on an hourly chart, euro dollar looks a bit interesting right there to me, but I still won't trade it because I'm just not convinced in the direction. Mate, you got pound yen up?
I do.
Over to you, buddy.
Roger D. Hang on a second. And we'll go there and there. Okay, pretty much this is going to be exactly the same as I've been speaking all day and probably all the last few days. And it is make sure you've got the direction right if you are going to trade. But if you're going to trade on an hourly chart at the moment, I would think it's tantamount to throwing a coin in the air, really, because that's I think is where we're at. I think we've got a situation where we were risk on yesterday, we were risk on Monday, and now we've come back to here where we're now neutral. We're absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And as Paul has just said, this is a golden opportunity to trade when we have an understanding of what's going to happen. But right now we don't have an understanding of what's going to happen. It looks to me like Trump's going to win now because it's now got so close, but the market hasn't decided that, that's for sure. It's just saying, all right, we don't know anymore. And, Paul's just been saying that for the last 10 minutes. I've got to agree 100%. And if the market had decided which way this was going to go, pound yen will move, probably not as much as anything against the dollar. But I totally see where you're coming from, Crystal, in terms of the pattern. I see a big bearish engulfing bar and a lower high to start with. But am I willing to put money in the market on an hourly chart at the moment on anything? The answer is no, because we're not in a technical situation, really, at the moment. What we are going to do, or what I'm going to do as a trader, is look at the technical situation from a very long viewpoint. And at this point, for pound yen, to me, it's not a sell, it's a buy. So I wouldn't be looking to sell it anyway, but I won't be looking to sell it on an hourly chart or buy it on an hourly chart until I've got some clear direction. So totally see where you're coming from. The pattern is kind of there, but no, it's not for me right now. So that's pound yen. And to make my point, I'm going to go to a chart, EuroCAD, and we've been chasing EuroCAD for goodness knows how long. And I have traded this 9 times based on that chart pattern right there. And every time I get into it, I get TP1 and it comes back and hits me. I get TP1 and it comes back and hits me. TP1 comes back and hits me. And that's been going on for the longest time. You know why it's been going on for the longest time? Because of the US bloody election, I reckon. And oil's got a lot to do with it as well. But the market's been waiting for something. But I rarely see them, these big double tops on big time frames. And this is a massive one. And if you go to the monthly chart, look at the level that we're trading at. Since 2015, we haven't been able to get above this level no matter what. So to my mind, this is going down here, but gee, it's taken a long time. And trading it on small time frames hasn't proven fruitful. But if I just stuck to my guns from day one, then I'd be okay. My stops would still be up here and I'd still be in the market. That's tying your cash up for a long, long time. You know, that's 4 months. That's nearly 5 months since we tried to get into this for the first time. And you know, there's nice little bars like these that are getting you in every month or week, if you like. But hanging on to them is a big trick. So in this environment, in my opinion, I think it's very, very tough to be trading hourly charts. I think we need to go back to these major formations, and over time, I can't see any way but this to go at least down to here and probably to complete the pattern right down to this level here, down to 144. So that's what I'll be looking to trade. And that's what I was trying to explain before. There's another one, I can't remember what chart it is. CAD Swissy. CAD Swissy is the other one. If you were to turn that on its head on a weekly chart, I think it is. Again, on the weekly chart. So if I go in a bit tighter, you can see exactly the same thing on a different level. We've got a massive tweezer bottom here. We've got a higher high, we've got a higher low, and we've gone straight into consolidation. Why? More than likely because we're waiting for something. Is that the election result? Maybe, probably. So, you know, I'm of that opinion that we just need to wait. And I've already got an order on this one, already ready to go. I placed that this morning, and I'm looking for the breakout here. But as yet, of course, that hasn't happened. Probably have to change that because there'll be a better entry, I do believe. But you know, there's all sorts of reasons why I want to trade this. And to me, that's a pretty clear false break of that support area as well. So, you know, this is kind of a double banger for me. And I've been chasing it once again for ages. I don't think, you know, maybe I did trade this once, but that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for. So as soon as this election is over, I think, you know, we're out of here. You know, we're getting out of these areas, and we're going to go back to what I consider to be the major, or I won't call them trend setting, I'll just call them defining chart patterns. And to me, this is one of those, because it's on such a big time frame and such a clear signal. You know, it's a big tweezer bottom. The level is a little bit dodgy because we've probably come below this major level, which was a major double bottom. And as you can see, we've rolled off it, but we can't get through there. It just can't happen. So maybe that becomes support again. So that was a long way of answering your question, Helen, and I do apologise for that. But I'm of the firm belief that we need to wait a little bit longer until we've got something clear.
Mate, we've been joined by Shukriyesh and Orlando. I'd like to jump around the team, see what they want to add.
Sure.
Guys, we've had a bit of a discussion about how it works. We've had a bit of a discussion about the fact it looks like Trump's in the driving seat. Although there do appear to be pathways left for Biden, it looks like a bit of a push for him. Talked about the fact there's different types of votes to be counted, and they may in the end have quite a big play in this. We may see some postal votes really help Biden late. We may see them take Trump clear. And I do get the feeling that there's going to be a trend along these last parts where we may see this not be very close in the end. There's a lot of things that are close at the moment, but I think they might all go one way or the other and push someone pretty comfortably to victory in the end, from what I can see right now. We have got, let's go around. Let's start. Orlando, what do you got? What are you seeing? Sorry, Orlando, we'll go to Ash. Ash, what are you seeing?
Oh well, I mean, I've literally just kind of like come and seen things. I haven't got video power if you want to give me those, mate. But I've got, so you can probably hear me.
I think Angel will take care of that for me. Although it looks like no one's got powers to me. We'll give a few more people powers. Angel, can you do that? Can you give everyone co-host ability so they can all share? Look, before we get going, Ash, I want to talk a little bit about what we're trying to do in the show. And what we're trying to do in the show is find trades. And right now, we don't have a market that's going to give us anything to trade. And we're going to keep talking about charts and markets and things until something turns up, or until we pack up our bags and go home. But we are looking for opportunities to trade more than anything else, really. Don't know quite what happened to Orlando. I think he might have fallen off internet because he seems to be gone. So Ash, what are you seeing?
Right. Okay. So let me I will just show you my charts here. And come on screen. There we go. Which one is it this time? Should be this. So I've already got a FTSE trade on. I was in the FTSE last week, so I've got this FTSE trade on down here, and I am really looking for if it's a Trump win, I'm looking for a further push to the upside. But what I think is quite interesting is the dollar, because I also put an order in on silver yesterday as well to buy, and I've literally just closed it. I got my order in. Actually, let me just bring this in with some pivots. Here we go. Let's get rid of that actually. Oh, that's okay. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I put my order in on the weekly pivot, but I've just closed the position because I'm a little bit concerned. I looked at this on a 4-hour chart, and you know, you can see this big bar to the downside, and it looked like we tested that monthly pivot, and it looks to me that silver's coming back down again, and I wonder whether we've counted enough votes at this particular stage to anticipate probably what looks like. I think you guys are saying it. That it looks like a Trump win. And it's a little bit spooky because, you know, I'm seeing the equities still being able to hold their gains. You know, that FTSE trade was able to hold its gains. We got the S&P as well, just about able to hold its gains. The S&P looks to me like it is through a level. If we bring in the hourly chart and bring in a trend line, it looks like it's holding this level up. Sorry, not that one. It's holding this level here. A little bit more of a steep angle there. Looks like it's just about holding the level. It might just be poking its head below it right now. But you would anticipate, or I would anticipate, that with a Trump win, equities should still move to the upside. We know what Trump did for equities in the last 4 years, and he was good for equities. He wasn't so good for the dollar, and that's the interesting story for me, because we've got you know, silver's just pushed to the downside, and it looks like the dollar is pushing to the upside. I might bring this onto a clean chart just so we can look on longer term time frames. But it looks like the dollar is now pushing to the upside. We look at this on a daily chart. This is the trend line that I'm watching with the dollar. This break here. And we are above that break. We came down and we've bounced away from that now as well. So is the dollar likely to get some sort of boost to the upside regardless of what happens? Or are we just kind of shaping for a little bit of uncertainty until we get an absolute result? Equities are unlikely to push heavily to the upside if the dollar pushes to the upside. So I like equities, but looking across the board, it seems at this stage that there's still a bit of hedging going on. It might be some hedging, some bets going on. So it's unclear. I don't think there's a trade right now that we can probably take with any confidence. If we were going to trade, then and you know, people could work out what the hedge was, then it would probably be a long dollar, long equities kind of play. I think that would be the only way to express it, which isn't ideal because we're basically then saying we just don't know. And that's really what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a situation that we can't really be clear. We don't really know. The price isn't attractive enough to get in and have a punt on it. I think I was quite fortuitous with silver that I got in on a pivot, because as it bounced away from the pivot, I'm able to kind of close and you know, look at it again and go, actually, it doesn't look like it's going higher here. It looks actually like we've got now a lower high.
I really want to encourage the team to get involved in this stuff and to ask some questions and have a chat. If you're in the room, you've got any questions, put some questions in. Ash, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you hadn't looked at your TV and you looked at this chart,
yeah,
this is a market that doesn't believe this election's decided.
Yes.
So while the public believe that Trump's got this, the money doesn't believe that just yet. There's something going on that we don't know about here as far as, and I think it's probably the postal votes again. I'm on record. I've said I don't like Trump and I hope Biden wins. I don't really care. There's more money for me if Trump wins, you know. It's just for me, when I look at this chart, it just tells me the market, and let's be fair, you know, there's a few guys in America with a few dollars and they're mainly asleep. You know, it's getting late over there, right? It's 2 o'clock in the morning over there. So maybe that's where they are. But what I haven't seen is big whipsaw. We've seen the whipsaws, but I haven't seen those big kind of moves we saw last year when, all of a sudden we realized Trump won it and it just crashed one way, and then it just turned around and whacked the other way. There's not that kind of decisiveness in these moves for mine. And
No.
I'm finding it interesting. I'm not convinced the market believes this just yet.
Well, let me show you one more chart as well, because this is I think usually the most telling chart in times like this, and it's the VIX. The VIX is putting in what looks like a higher low, and if the VIX puts in a higher low, that is bad for equities. That's not a good thing at all. So the way the chart is currently shaping up, I would suggest that they are it's shaping up for a potential recount. That's what it looks like to me, and I think that's the point that you're making. The public is saying a Trump win, but the market is kind of saying there may well be a contested result here, and a contested result will push the VIX higher. It will probably push the dollar higher. It probably pushes equities lower. So that seems to me the most obvious answer from the picture that I'm looking at. That we're going to get a contested election.
Look, it's completely different from the noise that's coming over from here, right? What's coming from over here is Trump's going to win this, really. Biden's got a bit of an outside shot. But I look at the charts and just go, not buying that for dollar. And maybe it's contested election, and maybe it is just a belief that these postal votes, which haven't been counted yet, will favor Biden at a strong ratio. I don't get it. Pennsylvania is down like 600,000 votes. Boy, there's a decent swing needed in that. But actually, maybe he can win it without Pennsylvania if he keeps getting the smaller ones. Look, thank you for that. I'm not streaming this stuff because I just don't want YouTube to kick us out, So I had a look at a couple of shows doing presidential elections earlier. No one was streaming the show, so I thought we wouldn't stream the shows if we don't want. Look, I'm keen to get Orlando and Shukri and get some opinions. And guys, I'm really keen to have some discussion. If you've got some thoughts, if you're in the room, an attendee or part of the team, there's inside the team at the moment, there's Ash, Ainsley, Jeff, Shukri, Orlando, and myself. Now, if we're going to have 10-minute chats about the topic, we're going to go 50 minutes without having anything to say. So I encourage you guys to climb into the conversation and get involved so we can hear some different views.
Oh, do you know?
Sorry,
yeah, can everybody hear me? Hi, how was everybody doing?
I was going to say actually what Shukri's got to say I think would be also interesting. I've got this Ethereum trade on, and I think that the same thing is going on with Ethereum. There's just not any. It's gone nowhere. Yesterday we got a really nice bar which would suggest some buying, but Ethereum is doing the same thing. Look, I opened up this morning and it just doesn't know what to do. Nobody really knows how to trade anything at this particular stage.
I'm going to say this, Ash, that when you say that right, the markets have had 4 years to prepare for this, and the market is clear what it's going to do if there's a Trump win, and the market is clear what it's going to do if there's a Biden win. And I think the market might even be clear what they're going to do if there's a contested result. I think we're still waiting for that stuff, and that's why the market's been a bit weird. Let's go to Orlando and Shukri, hear from them both. Then I'm going to again encourage the team to ask any questions. I'm interested in the stuff from Shukri on the cryptos. Orlando, back to you. What are you looking at?
Well, hey, mate. How's everybody doing? It's been a long day, hasn't it?
I think we're all a bit frustrated, mate. It's we've come live at a time when it's just stopped. All of a sudden,
I know.
So it's just staying to Trump's kind of got the advantage, but nothing's happening.
Exactly. Actually, let me share my screen because there were a couple of opportunities. Actually, some quite very good opportunities to take advantage earlier, right? And I noticed that you were talking about the Nasdaq earlier, and that's the one that I'm playing at the moment. So let me just share my screen. Hold on. Because I do believe that, I don't think that, hold on, let me just share my screen. Yep. And this one's it. Yeah, so basically, yesterday on my show, what I did is I went through all of U.S. equities 2016 November 8th charts, right? And as you said before, there were drops when it was announced that Trump had won the election from between 5.8 and 6.20%, right? And then a sharp return, so a sharp recovery, right, the next day. So I was looking for some levels, for some buy levels to get, to take advantage of a possible scenario, right? And I'm still looking at that possible scenario. But the thing is that I don't know if a Trump win is going to ignite a same scenario, a crash and a recovery. So basically, what I've been doing for the time, for the moment, is just buying the Nasdaq a couple of times here and a couple of times here and taking profits. And right now, this is just looking at technicals right now. And right now, if we go, if we go lower to the 50-minute chart, you can assume that this is a continuation pattern, but I wouldn't trade it just because, like everybody's been saying, there's something going on right now. There's absolutely no volatility in the market. There should be, actually, there should be, but the race is so tight at the moment, and I don't think that we're going to get some big moves until the actual election is called, right? And I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be called today. We're going to have to wait for tomorrow for that. Even though Trump might call it himself, and news that algorithm may react to a Trump tweet calling victory, right? So we have to be careful on that. For the time being, I'm not looking to jump in again. I'm running some free trades at the moment. I already took my profit for the day. I'm not looking to get in on anything at the moment, except if we have the same scenario that we had last election on a drop. And look at this. From the highs of today to the lows of yesterday, we have a 6.83% move to the downside, possible move to the downside. And from current prices, we do have a 4.90% move to the downside. So if that scenario, if this scenario pans out again on a or when the election is called, I would begin to look for buys around the again the 1100 level on the Nasdaq, which is the indices that, or the U.S. equity that has the cleanest buy zone to me. Also gold, it's a little bit tricky at the moment. I did get into a buy when price retested these lows, but right now it's going nowhere, and just by looking at how price action is reacting to these previous lows, right, it's pretty plausible that I'm going to be taken out at break even, which is absolutely fine, right? I'm not looking to add at anytime soon, nor I'm looking to go short gold. Again, because last election, what happened is that gold, and that's the thing, right? It would be really, really good if the same scenario that we had last election realized or plays out this election too. Why? Because last election, gold rallied about 6.8%, and then crashed. Not crashed, and then dipped for about a month, 11% on a very clean down move, right? Actually, I'm going to show you. Why don't we do just that, right? Now that I have control over the screens, I'm going to do just that. So that's 2016, 11. Hold on. This one. All right. Let me just redo this. 2016, 11/08, and let's go to that exact date. So this is the past election, right? This is price action of the past election, and as you can see, prices in gold rallied. Actually, was 5.4%, but after that rally, it was a very clean move to the downside for about this is a month and 14%, right? So and it continued over and over. So from high to low, and you're never going to be able to catch high to lows or moves, but just so you guys get a picture, for about 36 days, gold dipped 16.23%. And it's what Ainsley was saying, right, about seasonality during US elections, that gold tends to dip, right? So I was looking for that particular scenario, or still looking for that particular scenario today, but it's been quite choppy, right? Again, from low of the day to high of the day, I mean, if we consider the low of the day being this one right here, which is actually today's low for the time being, and we calculate a what was it, a 5.4% move to the upside, or 5.4% rally, we could be looking at a rally towards these levels, right? It's towards the 175, towards the 175, which would be actually a great zone to sell gold for a nice swing trade based on seasonality, right? Based on the seasonal move of the past election and what gold tends to do during the U.S. elections. So that's what I'm looking for. And this long that I took here, that is not a break even, and it's a really mild position, is just to take advantage of this possible scenario, if this possible scenario pans out. But again, this is an election like no other one, and we cannot be sure that the same moves are going to be in play. But what I'm looking for is a sell in gold should it rally to the next key level or so. And well, if the gold rallies to this level, the 1930 would be my first try at a short on a very mild position too, right? Because well, if gold rallies to the 130, that would be a from low of the day to the 130, that would be a 258, a 2.60% move to the upside, right? Considering considering price action on the past election when it was called, this would be this move would be too small, right? But in any case, this is what I'm looking for on the Nasdaq. I mean, on the Nasdaq, just returning.
Maybe before you go off that chart,
yeah,
if you don't mind,
yeah.
What if we've already had the rally? What if we're coming off the top now and headed down?
Yeah,
is that not an option?
No, it's not an option because the election hasn't been called just yet.
Okay.
That rally was when the election was called, right?
When it wasn't that, I don't know. I wasn't watching the chart obviously at the time because I don't trade gold. But was that not a change in momentum where it then became, it was going to be a Clinton win, but it changed direction halfway through the day?
Yeah.
Was that not where it turned, or it still was on the result? Was it?
I don't know, mate. I mean, we can look at the time, but I can't tell you that. But again, yeah. I mean, what you just said about that possible scenario already happened on this rally to the highs, right? It's plausible. I mean, everything is plausible. But I do believe that the bomb, that the real bomb, the real news that's going to affect the market hasn't come just yet. So yep, I'm just waiting on that big bang, right? To try and find something, to try and find a short position in gold or a new longs in equities, right? And that's the play for me. If it doesn't play out, I'm not going to be looking to get because that's my trading plan for today. Right. I'm already.
Just before you go on with that, is it indeed possible that they've stopped counting? Because I noticed the count hasn't changed in some time. Still 224 to 213.
Sorry, man. I've got a shade of an update. Actually, the BBC are really they're projecting a Biden win currently.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some numbers too, Ash, and I'm with them. I think if he's got Arizona, and the suggestion he's going to get Georgia. The Georgia elections haven't come in for that would vote for him, and if he picks up Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, I think he's got a pathway. I think it's possible, and this is why you want to be in front of the charts, because if that's right, we will see this market start to move at some point. And so please jump in, Ash. Jump in, please. Let's have Ash. We want to get to Shukri. I want to ask everyone on the team whether they think Trump's going to do a victory speech soon, whether he's won or lost.
In 30
Matt,
minutes,
what's this pathway on the BBC?
he's to hold an event in 30 minutes. He's hold a press conference in 30 minutes. Apparently, I just got it on the news.
Oh,
Yeah, looking like a potential Biden win, and the markets are currently shaping up for a
Selling.
stronger dollar, which is
Yes.
weaker silver, weaker gold as well, and potentially weaker equities. That's the way it's currently shaping up.
Nasdaq selling, S&P selling, euro dollar down,
Seeing the VIX popping up.
dollar yen.
The FTSE is dipping. Equities are dipping. That's correct.
Yeah.
Mate,
Yeah.
Ash, can you tell us what the BBC just told you? What's the pathway for Biden?
I mean, they've basically just brought in quite a few different states that they think will hold, and it looks like it could be a Biden win by 272 votes. You're absolutely right on the contested situation in Georgia. The New York Times apparently have just projected a 67% probability that Biden's going to take Georgia, and some counters have been sent home. So I don't really know what's going on with that. But but you know what?
Yeah.
If Biden wins, this isn't over. I think if it was the other way around, we could probably say, okay, there may well be a result. But if Biden wins, this isn't over, which does suggest some problems with equities and a pop up with the dollar. And maybe that's what's now we're seeing.
Another one of those cases, Asher, as a human being, you hate that, and as a trader, you just go, here we go.
Yeah.
Carnage for a couple of weeks when this unfolds.
Volatility is coming.
Excuse me, guys. I'm just getting over the flu. So, Ash, the BBC is calling a Biden win, and I find that really interesting because I just had a look at some stuff, and here's what's going on that's causing this just for people who are watching. Biden's 100,000 votes behind in Georgia, but the areas that haven't, that have polled, that a small amount has been counted in, he's winning those elections by areas by 80 and 90 to 10 and 20. So he's heavily strong in them, and the votes have still got to be counted from the rest of the votes have still got to be counted from those parts of Georgia. And the theory is they'll put him in front. And if he gets Georgia and puts it together with Arizona and Nevada, then I can't tell you the numbers, but he would be close. He's picked up a couple of those, what do they call those little one, just to make American more difficult. Most areas, if you vote for your candidate, the person who gets the most votes gets all the votes. Some areas, there's two of them, I think, they divide the electoral votes up based on the percentage of people who vote for each thing. And Biden's going to pick up two of those. I can't remember the names of the two places. But boy, he looks close. And I'm interested in charts. And guys, if you're watching charts and you're seeing stuff move, I don't see us yet being able to get in any of this. I don't see that kind of move. But this is you're just starting to see a flavor here that says, Ooh.
Do you know what? I'm looking at my FTSE trade in the market that I've got in the market, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking buying opportunity. I'm not seeing, yes, volatility is picking up, and yes, volatility suggests that we're going to get some downside from here, but I'm still seeing buying opportunity in the FTSE, not in the US equities. Interestingly, I think the US equities, if anything is going to suffer, I think it's going to be the US equities. I think the UK might well hold up.
Mate, look, do you have any more on this? And team, look, this is what we're here for. If you've got some different opinions, one thing we don't want to be CNN. We don't want it to be just one biased side of this. If you think that, if what you're watching tells you Trump's still the leader, interesting. Trump due to speak and maybe just holding up. And boy, his lead in Pennsylvania is pushing out Trump's, and still 700,000.
I'm going to bring you one thing if I can, mate, and I'll show you what the buying opportunity for me is and where it is. And with this, the way I'll be playing it is that I'm going to be putting in an order around about here at the weekly pivot. Now, this to me is a simple opportunity, because we don't need to risk a lot on this. But if I can just drift in around about here, right along the lower trend line here, right along the weekly pivot, right where the gap is. And now, if we treat these charts as we always should, after we've got an opinion on the technicals. The technicals suggest this area holds. Now, if that area holds, then we get a decent run to the upside. Even with stops at the low. So the way that I will play it is that I will go in here. I'll go in here. I'll put my stops at the lows. Get out of the way. Now, if this picks up, it's going to pick up, and it's going to pick up, probably quite a way. If it doesn't pick up, any close under this point here doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't cost the whole area down to, I'm not going to be trading right down to the stop. I'll be looking at this on the hourly charts. If the hourly chart closes anywhere below this line, I'm out of the trade, and I'll say at that point, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's no trade to the upside. But from that particular point, maybe I'd even consider flipping positions. If this does come up and test that level, then there's a trade to the downside. So the most important thing with this is that this, for me, is the contested area. That looks like the sweet spot. And I will just bring up one more measure of that as well, which is the fib, because I love it when the fib actually agrees. And it's close enough. That's a 50% retracement to this particular point here, which is near that weekly pivot. And by the time it gets down there, maybe it's right on top of that fib as well. So they're going to start closing in. So anywhere between what would be...
Can I jump in for a couple of seconds here?
Yes.
Cheers. Look, first of all, I want to thank the rest of the team. I really want to get you guys. Shukri, you've been in the show for half an hour and haven't had a word. Yes. We are trying to get to you, so we will get to you. I know that there'll definitely be more input from all of you guys. Jeff, Ainsley, Orlando, we want to hear from all of you guys as well. We just need to get through if there's a trade or we want to take the trade. And what I want to do is if you've got a trade as well, put it in the chat box so I can see it, and I'll tell Ash to get a move on and get his trade on. And we'll do a little bit of analysis and get the trades on. One of the things I like about this, Ash, is you've got an area of confluence and a support area. But if the market gets there, it'll be tired. It's gone a decent whack, right? It'll be ready for a bit of a change. So I like this trade. I'm going to get Ash to put it on. If you want to trade it on your ATW account, you're welcome to. Please control your risk when you do this kind of stuff. Shukri, we are coming to you soon. Jeff, I want to get back to you. Orlando, I want to get back to you. Angel, I want to get back to you. I want to get back to all of you guys. While Ash is putting this trade on, I'm going to keep an eye on CNN. If you're in this show and you want to if you're listening to anything and you want to add it into the show, if you want to look at any charts, if you've got anything else that's saying a Trump win or a Biden win comfortably or anything else, post it in here and let us chat about it, because that's what it's really all about. Over to you for the trade, mate. I'm going to get Jeff to hold the show for me while I'm away for a few minutes, and we'll go from the trade as quick as we can put it on, Ash. We'll go to Shukri, and if there's any other trades, jump to that, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Jeff, you okay to hold the show?
Yeah, mate. Cool. All good.
Let's do it. Let's do it on this one so you guys can. That's a futures chart I was looking at just there. So let's do it on this account as well.
G'day, buddy.
Hello, mate. How are you?
All right. It's not quite our time. An hour to go.
An hour to go. Yeah.
Oh,
I tell you what.
I interrupted you. I'm just being a funny bug.
That's okay, mate. Let's do this on the. With this here, yeah. So we're gonna be entering here on the weekly pivot. So it's going to be 56. I'm going to go in at 56.50. In actual fact, 56.52 because it's a round number, and that might be what I need. So here we go. I'm going to put on the half that I've taken off. Going to put that back on. So I've taken half off this trade already. So I'm going to put the half back on. It's a pending order. It's a buy limit. And it's going in at 56.52. 56.52. And I'm going to place that trade. Actually, I'm going to have to just put in this. I can drag it down. So let's put this in at 56. 54.90. 54.90. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter so much. Buy limit 56. Sorry, 56.52. Stop loss at 54.90. And why is that not allowing me? Maybe I need one on there. Come on, my half on. Why is that not allowing me to do it? 54.90. Buy limit 56. Yeah, 56.52, stop loss at 54.90, and do what you will with the volume. It doesn't really matter where this is, as long as this is out of the way, then it's not a big problem. Now there's the charts do look slightly different to what I showed you earlier on, but I'm using the futures for my my trend line, and it's going to give me the same result. We've still got the weekly pivot in the same area, still got this fib in the same area. So this to me looks like the sweet spot right here. And you can see that now let's just bring in just one thing I do like to do is have a look at the bar on Friday. That's the bar on Friday. This is yesterday's bar. So in actual fact, 56.08. 56.08. I'm going to just shift this down to 56.10. Now the reason I've done that is that this lower bar here is that test bar has not yet been tested. Now, I really like it when these test bars are tested. So I'm just shifting it down, but I'm going to watch that 56.52 as a potential turn. And it might even be that I'll scale in gently at 56.52. But this is the ultimate price down here. So 56.10 is where that price is. So it can dip a little bit below that, and then I'll be looking for a bounce to the upside. And we might get resistance at the weekly pivot. And if that's to happen, then we want to get stops at break even as soon as we possibly can. Okay. So
mate, just to be clear, the 56.52 has moved to 56.10.
Yes, it has. It has moved down to 56.10 because I'm a little bit concerned with this area here. Weekly pivot should hold up, and I might, if I edge into the trade there, then I will let everybody know. But there's still a little bit of room that it could come down and still bounce.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's at 56.10, but I'll call it this whole area here. The thing with this is that this whole area here is the buy zone, and all I've done really with this is I've moved it to the lower end of the buy zone, but this whole area is the buy zone. So it could be anything between 56.50 and 56.10 is the buy zone. So there's a 40 pip a gap there that we might need to play around with. So I've gone to the lower end of that buy zone right now.
Okay, cool. Mate, you were talking about Ethereum earlier and was interested in one man's opinion on that. And fortunately, we have him in the room. 4 years ago, we weren't even thinking about Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ant, and all those questions that I've seen in the box as well.
That's
this year, different story. G'day, buddy.
Very different. It's good. Things are good because I'll show you why. And as we discussed last night, we actually now can call even probabilities of something happening, which we couldn't do before, Before it's like pray, which is not a good thing. Okay.
Guys, Shukri, I'm sorry to hold you up again. We are going to come straight to after this, but I want to go around the team and hear this really quickly. Trump's about to speak.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Who wants to go first?
I think he's going to claim a win because he's Trump, isn't he?
Yes, I do too.
Ainsley?
Oh, I've just seen a tweet from Donald Trump. They are trying to steal the election, potentially. Oh, it's a potentially misleading claim. So
you put that out. He's now going to come and speak in front of the media.
Okay.
Ainsley? Orlando? You're both muted if you're going to come and have part of this. I'm interested in what you guys think. What will he do? Will he be gracious? Will he say we're still waiting, or will he claim victory?
He's left for a while.
Orlando or no Ainsley on this. So Ash, you are he will claim victory. Jeff, you are he will claim victory, and I am that he will claim victory. Back to you, Shukri.
Okay, thank you. So let's see what Bitcoin is doing, which is very different from what it did before. Which is
there you go. There's the tweet. I will be making a statement tonight. A big win from Trump.
So that's Bitcoin. It decided to go up despite the US dollar going up, the DXY going up, and the stock market going down, which is weird. It's just deciding to do what it's deciding to do again. And I think this is what all the crypto guys are waiting for. Like Jeff, you say that we just want normalcy, because what is going to be normal after the presidential election? Look at this pattern. We had a high, and look at this. It couldn't break this lower high, couldn't break this lower high. Looks like it wants to break. Let's go back in time, 2016. What happened? Oh, we had a high. And look at this. Didn't we have two? And what happened when it broke? And this is what we all want. So we're just busy waiting for what's going to happen. Look at that. Oh, it pumped. And it pumped a lot from 800 to 2,800. That was 2016. So 2016 is when Trump won. A new president comes in. That's bullish for Bitcoin. What is Trump wins now, which is an incumbent president? Let's go back to 2012. That was Obama, right? And when we go back to 2012, oh, look at that. 1, 2 again. Okay, let's say, I don't know where this chart came from. I don't even have data before this, but look what happened after that. It pumped again, and it really pumped by a lot. So if you look at the crypto perspective, we are just waiting to go around this period. Things get to normal, and it goes up again. So where do I think it's going to go? Okay, so looking at this, I would like, I don't know whether it'll happen, but this is obviously overstretched. I think Bitcoin is a buy when it dumps. And if it dumps here and it goes back up here again and past this all-time, the 52-week high, we're off to the races until 20. And let's use the data again. So this is the record of Bitcoin. Again, this is good because people have done this. There's so much data now. When Bitcoin hits another 52-week high, look what happens after 1 week. Look what happens after 1 month, 40.92%. The last time it hit this was up by 9%. So this is a good gauge. And if we go back here again, if we are able to surpass this 14.2, 40% is 20. Hello, 20K. It would be a good, very good ending to Bitcoin to end 2020 at 20K because nobody expected that. Now, why would
Is
Bitcoin
that on the dump point, mate?
This line is a dump point. Everything, to me, dumping is a buy because we already know what's going to happen here. We already know that, but what's the signal, right? So again, so why would Bitcoin dump? Then we have to ask ourselves, why would Bitcoin dump? Well, it seems like this morning somebody moved 955 million of Bitcoin from a wallet to another wallet. If he moved it to exchange, which we don't know, but I hope he does, guess what? He's going to sell, right? Because he had this since $200. Jeff, was that you? Come on, tell us.
Yeah, I wish.
Huh?
I wish.
You wish, right? So again, what I see is once this is over, Bitcoin goes down here. This would mean the altcoins go up, and we'll see Ethereum. And when it goes up here, what happens? Just wait for this. Bingo. A new 52-week high, see you at 20. And that will be very, very fast because it moves very, very fast. Ash was asking about Ethereum. Well, let's go back again. 2016. Well, that was it then. What happened after the election? Hello, Ethereum. It pumped. What was causing this? Well, there must be a reason right now. Ethereum is harder than Bitcoin because when people move Ethereum wallets, it's to do many different things, not necessarily because of pumping Ethereum. So what was the reason here? This was smart contracts. Ethereum now, what's the reason for Ethereum to move up now? I don't have, what do you mean I don't have? Of course I have it. What is the reason for Ethereum to move up now? It is Ethereum 2.0, right? So again, if Ethereum 2.0 comes along and we don't know, it keeps getting delayed, yes, I see Ethereum following Bitcoin up at least to 800 here. I don't think it goes to 1.4 yet because Ethereum 2.0, there are a lot of problems. So to us in the crypto world, it's very simple now. Let this come through. We don't really care who declares the win, but it's good that if Trump gives us a chance for a dump here, right? Come on, Trump. Do us a favor, give us a chance for a dump here, and then we just ride it all the way up to wherever it wants to go, and it's going to be a lot. So I hope to see you guys at 20. If it doesn't happen by the end of this year, it's going to happen early next year, Q1. That's it.
Awesome, buddy. How for those of you, or for those who aren't able to even understand what Ethereum 2 is, or what it is, and how can it be traded or invested in?
Yeah, Ethereum, you really have to wait. Again, look, there is a clear resistance point here. So to me, if it's coming up here, it's ready to go off. But you also have to check the news. And this is where Bitcoin is easier, right? It always depends on the Ethereum 2.0. Why is it? Because once Ethereum 2.0 is released, guess what? People are buying Ethereum not to sell. So you don't have to be afraid it's going to dump. No, it's not going to dump. It's going to go straight ahead. Because if that, and they haven't said anything about that yet, because once that happens, guess what? They will buy Ethereum to keep it. They have to put it onto the network. They want their 18% gain or 18.9% annual gain, and it just stays put. And that driving pressure is the one that's going to drive Ethereum up.
Okay, so we heard that here first. In terms of the election right now, are you ready to move on it, or are you still waiting for the result?
I'm still waiting for the result.
Yep.
Again, I'm very clear on Bitcoin here. I think I'm just waiting for the dump, and you can buy it here on the dump, or you just wait it here, and there is very good statistic to support you. A new 52-week high, 1 month later, 41%.
Okay, and Trump's coming out in what, a few minutes' time.
Yes.
If he declares himself the winner, which 3 out of 3 of us seem to think he will, is that enough, or you really need to wait still?
I think we still need to wait because this looks like it's going to be close.
Okay.
Because he will do that, right? He will do that.
Mate, I'm still waiting for Trump to come out. Literally, we've been told he's moments away from when I jumped off screen till now. So look, I've been in and out a little bit. Shukri, at the moment, you're waiting for a result. Either way, you're bullish Bitcoin at this stage.
Yes.
You think it's going to go up. You think it'll be a pullback. Possibly it'll go up.
Yes.
Ethereum's another one which you think is a buy. Maybe looking for a better price on it. Ash, did you get your trade on as well?
The trade isn't triggered, but it is the orders in the market.
Right. Where was that buy level?
The buy level ended up being a little bit lower, down at 56.10. We've gone to the lower end of the band.
Stop loss?
Stop loss is down currently at 54.90.
Like it. So just below the 55. That 55 historically is quite strong, isn't it? That's not the reason I'm playing it, but it is a round number, so it could well hold there. But I'm not going to play it to the stop loss. If it starts to close significantly below my area, because I literally am going in right on the lows. So if it starts to close, even if it closed on 50, let's say 54.99, sorry, 54.99, then I'll probably close the trade and wait for something else to kind of shape up. Great. Let's hear from Ainsley in Orlando. The question was, what is Trump going to do? Look, here's what we're hearing. And again, look, it's the news, so I don't know whether it's true or not, but here's what we're hearing. The Trump White House is really upset at one of the TV networks for calling Arizona for Biden, and they're angry about it. And of course, being Trump at the same time, they're telling TV networks that the stuff where they're in front, they've won, and the stuff where they're behind, they shouldn't be calling for anybody because all the votes aren't in. Not particularly consistent, but angry. And the suggestion for the media is right now that Trump is going to be angry. He's going to come out in front of these cameras and have a real crack about this whole process, but the fact he feels he's being ripped off, la, 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 la. And I suggest right now there's someone in there with enough common sense that they are trying to calm that man down before he says something which is just a disgrace to that office. And one thing about Trump, he's not surrounded by people who know the history.
No, we're okay for now.
But there are people who know the history. So that's what's going on. We're waiting for him to come out and to see what might be one of the more fascinating press conferences we've seen for a little while. In the meantime, Ainsley, what do you think he's going to do? Is he going to call that he's won it? Or do you think he's going to be more say, let's wait till tomorrow?
I think he's like you at the moment, Paul. He's angry. He's wanting. He can't even be consistent with the jolly postal votes, and that was in Pennsylvania. That was described by the Supreme Court, but he can't call it. He can't.
He can't.
It's 224 to 213, and he shouldn't. Let's just rephrase that. He probably shouldn't call it. He possibly would.
Yes.
But even though he is behind, but I was going to say stranger things have happened, and it just doesn't stop that guy, does it really?
It's like having my 3-year-old run the world. It really is. Orlando, are you able to pick us up at the stage? No, Orlando's internet's in and out a little bit. Orlando, are you with us? Doesn't look like Orlando's with us. Look, I want to get back to some of the guys we haven't heard from a little while. You know, we started off the show with just me and Jeff in, and we were pretty busy, and the world has come in, and it's nice to get some different opinions. But I'm pretty keen. We've just heard from Sukri, we heard from Ash before that, we had Orlando before that. I'm pretty keen to hear, Jeff, is there anything that you're watching, want to speak on? Then let's go to Ainsley and see whether there's anything she's watching, wants to talk on. At the moment over here, there's a, you can see a picture of the door to where President Trump will come through before he erupts onto the stage. I'll keep an eye on that. Again, we're not going to stream this stuff, guys, because it's just naughty to do so, but we will keep you guys. One thing we will try and do is let you know when Trump's speaking. So if you want to watch it on your own, if you want to stream it yourselves, watch it yourselves, you can do that. We will try and keep you up to date with that. We'll continue. Look, just to be clear that, so what I'm seeing is that in some states, they've clearly stopped counting, and in some states, the numbers are still moving. So in some states, they're still, and let's remember, this is the US. So it's 2 o'clock in the morning on one side, and it'll be about 9 o'clock at night on the other side. There's quite a big time difference between one coast to the other coast, maybe a bit later than that, 10 o'clock. So there will be some people still counting in different parts of America. Whether they're counting in the important stuff, I have my doubts. And I've got to say right now, I don't think we're going to get a result to this until we get the postal votes in Georgia and Pennsylvania counted. CNN is saying that there's 2 million postal votes in Pennsylvania. And given that they're expecting Biden to win those at a 2-to-1 ratio, that pretty much would wipe out Trump's majority in Pennsylvania at the moment and make it too close to call. Now, whether any of that's real, I don't know, but it is interesting. Jeff, anything from you?
Yeah, look, I think the market's still saying exactly that, Paul. I don't think there's any clear indication as to, apart from probably in Trump's own mind. But if he's angry, that means he's potentially going to lose, doesn't it? One would think. And of course, as Ash said, if that would be the case, then no doubt there will be a recount at the very least. So I think this does remain uncertain, and I'm not willing to put any money on the table until I've got an indication as to who will win it. So no, there's nothing new from me. I think I'm still on the same track. I'm looking at the monthly charts to tell me a direction, and as soon as I know who wins it, then I'll go back to those particular directions.
Man, I really
Nothing
like
till
that.
then, really.
We were talking about the markets looking to me like they. Someone Dennis asked me to have a look at the Japanese yen, and I might get someone from the team to have a look at the Japanese yen so I can keep an eye on CNN as well. Look, it looked an hour ago we were saying the markets just looked as if they weren't sure, and it looks to me right now as that I think 2 hours ago the Trump team thought they had won this election, and right now they're not sure, and they should be unsure because it appears to be unclear. So interesting to see, and this does look like the icebreaker, that the close contest everyone said. And before we go, and we'll go to Ainsley next. Before we do, one of the things that is, it's only from my memory, it could be wrong, but in America, you can't just contest every vote. You've got to go to court, and you've got to provide due cause, and you've got to be able to say, well, look, you know, there's 1 million votes, and we lost by 17. It's too easy if there's been a counting error. We should check that. Or that we know that there was a problem with the postal votes, and we can prove fraud. So therefore, you can't just turn up and say, I want this recounted, and this recounted. And what's more, my understanding is last time that there was a suggestion that Clinton was going to get somebody else to do it for her because I wasn't sure that she could actually do it. So I don't think that even Trump can just demand research in every area that he loses, although there's going to be enough close ones in this one that whoever loses might be able to do that. Ainsley, is there anything, can someone, Tim, can you have a look at CAD yen for Dennis? And we'll have a bit of a run through. I'll set it up if no one else can. But before we do that, I'm aware again, Angie, anything else from you? Anything you're looking at?
No, the only other one that I'm looking at, Paul, is oil. I'm keeping a bit of a close eye on oil. And it's not because I know it sounds a little bit odd, but it's a little bit on a different wavelength to the US elections at the moment. It's got a few other things happening behind the scenes that is affecting their supply and demand, and that's why we're just seeing everything's just gone sideways. It was on a bit of a rally, and then it's pulled back today. But as you showed on the chart, oil's just very slow, but it's not doing anything. It hasn't whipsawed around like the others at all. It's just sitting quietly. Like I said, more to do with the supply issue and what's happening there with, there's a problem with Libya. There is a problem with the OPEC plus countries trying to decide whether they're going to go back and lift the restrictions in January, which apparently was decided yesterday. They're not going to do, which will help with the supply. But then you've got countries like Libya that are going, well, yeah, sorry guys, we're up to 800,000. We've had sanctions lifted. We're aiming to go to 1.3 billion barrels a day. So that is all very at the moment. So oil's got another agenda that's not related to the US election happening as well. So I'm keeping an eye on oil as well.
I've got CAD Yen if you want,
guys.
mate.
Here comes Trump. There's members of the family coming down, and look, I'll let you go in the show. Just keep on going. I'm going to watch that if you guys don't mind. I see from SWE, S&P and oil moving down. Seems like Joe's leading, and Alexis is sitting on those. She's having some internet issues. Alexis, if you can't share and you have anything you want to share, just put in the chat so the team can talk about it and we will add it in. Obviously, it'd be fascinating to have your view on it. I'd love someone to have a look at CAD Yen for Dennis, and I'm going. Trump's walking on stage, so I'm going to mute and watch that, and I'll be back and I'll update you guys on that reasonably soon. Well, maybe reasonably soon, depends how long he takes.
It'll be a while, I reckon. Okay, Dennis, to go a little bit around the side of your question before I attack it, I want you to have a look at this chart. And this is telling me what's happening today in terms of relative strength to the US dollar. And as you can clearly see, the US dollar is reigning supreme currently. Now, the interesting part for me is this one here. And maybe there's something to be taken on board here. The Kiwi is the strongest currency against the US dollar at the moment, which interests me because the other two currencies which are nearest to the US dollar are the risk-off currencies. So the Swissy and the yen, risk-off currencies, are overpowering the risk-on currencies, Aussie CAD, but not the Kiwi. So therefore, there might be a play within the risk-on currencies, or the commodity currencies, if you like. Maybe there's a play CAD Kiwi or Aussie Kiwi, both of those short, I would have thought. Anyway, getting back to your question, the yen, and if you're talking CAD yen, look at this chart as well. The CAD's off and under the yen, and I believe we've now gone into a risk-off scenario. Certainly looking at this chart, that appears to be the case, and so does it with Aussie and the CAD falling. Not necessarily against the yen, but definitely against the US dollar, and relatively the yen is outpowering the CAD and the Aussie. So let's go to that chart, the CAD yen chart. And what I'm seeing is something that really doesn't excite me, because I'm not an excitable type person, but I see here that we've come again through Monday, Tuesday, and even back in Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, we've gone into a let's call it risk-on scenario, and now we're pulling back off it. That, of course, what does one of two things. It means that we're going to get a better price if we want to trade this long, as I do. And I'd love to see it come down to the weekly pivot, to be fair, just to cover all of those pivots, and then look to trade it long on the back of a higher low, which is exactly what I'm seeing possible here. So that is my take on CAD yen. You took it on a flow trade due to cyclicity on a daily chart. Okay, cyclicity. I see a range, and I'm assuming daily charts flow. I don't really see great cyclicity, but I'm not a cyclicity person. So lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, now I see where you're going from. So you're short, Dennis, I'm thinking, if that's the case. Yep, okay. As I said, I see the structure here, and the structure here is a rectangle. And I also see the big base we come off. If I go a little bit wider still, and this goes to my point that I've been making all along, we've come off this base that's been in vogue since the global financial crisis, and we've been unable to get below that. And every time we get there, it's not as though we have a little bit of a pullback. We have a big buying session, and that's been the case. So I don't expect that this is coming down anytime soon, to be honest. But that's me. I don't do flow. And if flow says it's going there and you're trading flow, then I'm not going to argue against that. Of course, it can come back here and test it again. But to go through it at this particular time, I would find that very, very unlikely. We shall see. And whilst ever we're above that trade line and inside that box at the bottom of that box, I just see a confluence there that says to me, long is the way I want to be going. That's just me. And it may only be to here and then we go again, or it may only be to the trend line and go again and retest that level. There's nothing certain here, I don't believe. And the fact that we've been going, as I've said before, wax on, wax off, goodness me, that looks like a Star Wars character. Oh, it's Orlando. So yeah, as I was saying, I definitely see the weekly pivot. And if we do get the weekly pivot and a potential reversal bar here, then I'll be looking to trade that long. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? Everybody's listening to Trump, and I get that.
Yeah, do you know, mate? I mean, it's really interesting. He's basically claiming that he's won, and it looks like it's going to be a contested election at this stage. So he's not going to go down without a fight. There's no two ways about that. And gold is strengthening. Gold is weakening because of it. So the dollar looks like it's strengthening as well. So I think we're probably in for a bit of a tumultuous week. This doesn't look like there's going to be a full stop by the end of today, which is going to make things.
It was pretty much as we expected, isn't it?
Yes, it is actually. It is actually. I am looking at the potential for taking that order that I've put in the market off for right now, because I wonder whether it might be better if the market does come down, because it looks like it will be something that's going to drag on a bit. That doesn't suggest we're going to get a spike to the downside and a bounce. It looks to me like if we're going to get a bounce, it probably needs to carve out that low. So yeah, it's looking like a difficult point to trade at. I think if I had to trade at this point, then I'd probably be starting to look at just a short move in equities down to some levels and then see if they go through. Rather than actually looking at any buying opportunities. It's Donald Trump is I guess he's doing what we expected him to do, but because he's claiming things are so close, he's saying that some of the states that the media are saying that Biden's got a chance in, he's saying that there's no chance there. We've won Pennsylvania and a list of other ones that he said that he's won. So yeah, the next week, possibly 2 weeks, I think we're going to get a bit of bouncing around down here.
Yeah. That was the one thing we didn't want, of course.
Yeah.
We didn't want uncertainty coming out of this, but it appears that will go on for a little bit, unless, of course, Trump wins. If Trump wins, I think we're okay. I agree with that. But the thing is, I suppose this is the thing. If you're approaching this, and we're professional traders, and these things do come up, once in a while. Sometimes you get the opportunity to trade them, and as I say, there is a shorting opportunity on equities. I'm not that keen to play them, but there is a shorting opportunity on equities at this particular stage. But otherwise, our job is to make sure that we're defensive first and foremost. And if there's no way that we can be that defensive, then the best thing to do is wait until that opportunity does arise, which it will. That the markets and the charts just aren't clear enough right now. We don't have to get in today. It's totally not compulsory. Absolutely not. And I'm absolutely happy to stay out of this until we know something more. And we really don't at this moment. I don't believe in it. And Dennis, don't be ridiculous. Of course, the state of origin is more important than the US election. Sorry, that was a comment from Dennis I just had to respond to. There's a big football game in town today.
The state of VIX is trying to pop to the upside. Equity's trying to pop to the. I mean, shall I just quickly show you some of the price action that's going on here?
By all means, do.
Okay. this is some of the price action that's going on here, and it's really kind of is telling us that things are just unclear and unsafe. You know, price action here. This is the VIX. And we really do need to watch the VIX, and I would encourage everybody to get a VIX chart up somewhere on their platform just so they can watch it. The VIX is attempting to break to the upside here, but it's not doing so, which means that we don't really have, we don't have that higher low on the VIX on the hourly chart. We do on the daily. You know, the daily is suggesting here, I know this is a bit scruffy, but I'm just going to leave these pivots on for when I come back. This is a higher low on the VIX, so it's suggesting that the VIX is going to try and make a higher low, which is going to be negative for equities. The hourly isn't yet producing it, and you know, will the opportunity come in to see the VIX pop to the upside and do our kind of classic ABC? Will it pop to the upside and pop back? You know, carve something out here which would look like an inverted head and shoulders, which would be clean. You know, that kind of scenario would be pretty clean, and at that point maybe we can sort of make a decision on direction. But I'd want to see the VIX do that before I did anything really. So the VIX is not at this stage giving us a clear signal, and it might happen.
Chart, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a rejection of the low price. It's a rejection of the high price, and it's settled underneath the daily pivot. Tells you pretty much everything.
Yes, and this is the thing. It might happen. So, you know, I'm saying that there might not, there's not an opportunity, but actually, I'm just talking about at this particular point in time. But there might be. We just want it to settle, though.
Trump said he's going to the U.S. Supreme Court.
There you go. There you go.
Doesn't suggest he's winning, then, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No. Actually, his last comment before Mike Pence took the stage was, "Well, frankly, we did win." Not that the counting's finished, not that he is actually ahead in the polls. He just said, frankly, we did win.
Yeah.
Regardless of facts.
Yeah.
Watch this VIX. Watch this VIX. And then,
let's watch what happens.
Let's bring in the S&P then. What's happening with the S&P? Same thing by the reverse. You know, the VIX is trying to stretch itself to the upside. S&P is bashing its feet against this monthly and daily pivot. Does it break through and come back? That's the opportunity. You know, if we're trading this properly, we need to see a shakeout and then a pullback, and then we trade it. I don't think we're going to get that. I think it's more likely to pop through and go, particularly with that statement. So, you know, is that the way that people want to trade it? If that's your strategy, no problem. That's not really the way that I'd want to trade it. So let's see if we do get some settling. You know, if it does pop down, settle back to the upside, and we can trade it short. But at this stage, we are looking at equity short, VIX long, potentially dollar long as well.
Guys, I also listened to the Trump speech and Mike Pence's speech afterwards, and I'm going to say that I thought, by comparison, he was reasonably restrained. What he said was, how come they've called this state for these guys?
Yeah.
When it's not really decisive, and yet in these states we're this far ahead with this many votes to go, they can't catch us. They should be calling these votes for us, and we should be celebrating winning right now. Then he said later on, I feel like we've won, and then he said we have won, but it wasn't just we've won. I didn't think his speech was completely terrible. Talk about going to the Supreme Court. He said he was going to go to the Supreme Court, and my understanding from what he said was he doesn't want any votes that arrive after the close of ballots to be counted. And frankly, that's completely reasonable. Votes shouldn't be turning up after the close of ballots. I didn't hear him say that he's not going to, he doesn't want any more votes counted, because, well, it's an election, for God's sake. That's ridiculous. But I think his thing is he feels like they're going to try and slide some late votes into this somehow. You know, honestly, that sounds like complete craziness to me, but that's what I think he was saying. So, again, I'm not, I didn't think that his speech was particularly inflammatory. That wasn't lovely, but I don't think it was particularly bad. I'm not sure it's going to see a market move, and I'm going to say now that it's 2:30 in the morning on the eastern side of the US, and I don't think we're going to get Biden's not going to claim victory tonight, and Trump's not going to properly claim victory tonight. He did not do a speech where he stood up and said, "Hey, we've won." He did stand up and say, "Hey, look at me, I'm the best in the world." But you know, that's just all chatting. I get a feeling that we're going to. I'm happy to watch this stuff for a while, and you're right. The S&P is selling, which is interesting. I don't think we're going to see much that we can trade. I just don't think it's going to get clear enough for us tonight.
Looks to me like the sentiment has settled on risk off at the moment. and that's
Yes,
not
it does.
surprising.
Yes, it does.
Any other charts we should be having a look at, Ash?
Well, the VIX is popping up. Yeah, we should always look at the dollar. Dollar looks like it's trying to squeeze its way up again. I mean, we're just in this kind of area of complete uncertainty right now. And I guess off the back of that, we should really be checking out what's going on with gold and silver as well. This looks like it may well break to the downside for me. So I think when it comes down to direction, we can make an assumption. We can speculate on direction. And my speculation on direction would be short silver, short gold, long dollar, long VIX, and short equities, probably most specifically the S&P. And I suppose potentially then maybe we're looking at the rhetoric is all about clean N3755 and it looks heavy, just like those other commodities look heavy. If I was looking at this on a longer term time frame to try and get some kind of idea of where it could go, I mean, look at this on the daily. Is the daily chart going to end up, a daily bar going to look like that by the end of it? I'd very much doubt it. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see an engulfing bar down here by the close of play with oil, and oil is technically showing a potential level of some weakness as well. So I think oil would be the one that I'd be most comfortable trading short. And if I get an opportunity in anything, I will probably I'll probably just edge towards oil. Oil or WTI as a short, I think would be my play for the day.
I agree. I'm behind you
Well,
on that one, Ash. Yeah, there you go.
I agree too. I just took that short.
There you go. All right.
I should have gone.
Yeah. Do you want to bring us that short, Orlando? Do you want to tell us the levels?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Of course. Let me just share my screen.
Is he actually under that hood, or?
Yeah.
I think it's Darth
Still
Sidious. Darth Sidious has joined us,
It's
and he's looking for a red bar just to kind of have as a saber.
Well, it stopped. I don't know why, but this is the short that I just took on this thing called the WTI. Well, I was looking at this short from yesterday, pretty much, but it needed this last leg up, and it's actually pretty interesting. Bearish divergence here at the tops at this previous base, and I know that Jeff is going to love this fake out of the channel.
Nice, mate. Yep. Pullback would be good.
I mean, that fake out of the channel, the breakout of the immediate structure, breakout of the reversal pattern, a nice 1 to 2.25 risk to reward on this one, and that's my short in WTI. I mean, I'm targeting these lows, but I'll be watching very closely when we go to this level right here. I mean, just to see the reaction. I know that I mean, if it rejects these previous lows, I should be closing my trade on an off for risk to reward ratio on a 1-to-1. But I mean, that's the play, right? So I mean, I have to wait and see what happens.
I think it's what you can get at the moment.
Yeah, I'd like to see the pullback. Both of you guys, Ainsley and Orlando, why did oil rally? Apart from a technical reason, was there a reason?
I saw some news on oil. Let me just see that. Hold on. Yes,
I can tell you what.
The EIA forecasts that members of OPEC will earn about 323 billion in net oil export revenues in 2020. If realized, this forecast revenue would be the lowest in 18 years. OPEC is expected to decrease by close to 500,000 barrels per day in October. I reckon these are the news that everybody was looking for.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, cool. And Ainsley, you were going to say why it's come off?
Yeah, why it's come off is we've got countries like Libya wanting to contribute to the supply, which is not a good thing. We don't need more supply. And it was just like Orlando's just said, they've been able to control the supply, and try and get, especially in the face of Europe getting locked down and that second lockdown. So that's all coming off. But as Ash also pointed out, a win for Biden with oil is definitely, he is very pro the get rid of the fossil fuels. We're going to go greener, and that's a longer term play that he's got there. But it's, as Ash pointed out, it's the sentiment and that rhetoric with where Biden wants to take that, and the whole, well, what does that mean as it comes, during his presidency if he wins? How's that going to affect them? The oil lobby is really strong. Is a really heavy. They kick a lot of.
So it's not the market saying Biden wins. That's not
the market saying. There's too many. There's quite a few other underlying factors at the moment pulling oil. As you said, you look at this commodity and you don't see the. And it's West Texas it's US oil, West Texas intermediate that you're looking at, but it's still a global commodity. So, is it the US election? Yes, in part, but you haven't seen it. It's against the US dollar. We haven't seen it flick around at all for the last 24 hours. It's just sat there, and it's only now just starting to pull back. It's just starting to say, yeah, well, actually, I don't really like what else is going on in the world.
Okay, Orlando, you're a NASDAQ fan. Where do we go from here, mate?
I don't know, mate. After Trump's speech, equities just crashed. They dipped. The Dow just dipped about 1.50% to a previous highs. I mean, I'm not looking to take any more trades at the moment, mate. Just let's have a look at what's going on. I don't know, mate. Everything looks. Yeah, I mean, and this is just commodities on my side. I don't know what the GBP USD is here. This should be silver, but. Yeah, I'm not looking at any other markets at the moment.
That's fine.
Yeah, actually, well, this short on silver just hit targets. That's cool. But cool. Yeah, I'm not looking at trading any currencies either at the moment. Actually, this short in crude oil was the only clean setup that I've found for today, and I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know about you, mate. Are you looking for something else? And yeah, my camera.
Not today, no. I'm happy just to look at the bigger picture and wait until we get a result. So I've got some clear direction. So Ash, your question, I think, from Helen was S&P and NASDAQ. You're pretty much already said and stated what you think. Nothing's changed there, I would imagine, in the last 5 minutes.
No, I think equities are shorts. I think. The other thing with the NASDAQ specifically is that I think there's a potential that Biden goes after some of those tech companies. So if I was going to short any of them, it probably would be the S&P. I mean, if anybody can look up, and I have talked about this on the show, but anybody that's not aware of this, go and look up the CAPE ratio. Go and look up the CAPE ratio for the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow, and then compare it to the likes of the FTSE, for example. The CAPE ratio suggests that the FTSE is undervalued, but the CAPE ratio suggests that the American stock exchange is very, very highly overvalued. So, that in itself, and the CAPE ratio is just so everybody knows what it is. It's the valuation of the companies and the earnings of the companies aggregated over 10 years and then inflation. 3 years, and then inflation. Also calculated in that as well. So they're inflation adjusted earnings. So when you kind of take that into account, the earnings that the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow are providing do not match the current valuation of those indices. So the CAPE ratio is already suggesting that they're overvalued. So that would suggest that if there is a shorting opportunity, it's going to come from those guys. And then you look at the potential for a Biden win and what that might do to these equities. And I think that, as I say, I think that Biden's got there's a chance. It's not a definite thing, but there's a chance he goes after the tech industry, which does put pressure on the Nasdaq and obviously the S&P, because some of those stocks also trade on that indice as well. So it's certainly at this stage, and seeing oil come off, like if oil does come off, that is already a suggestion that there is a potential for a squeeze in global growth. So on the day, it would suggest that we're going to get short in indices. But let's make no mistake on what's going on really on the big picture. And the big picture does suggest that the numbers still stack up when it comes down to the potential for further rallies in the indices when they come down to an attractive price. So it's everybody's choice the way they play it. What I would say is that there's definitely no long here, but what we could be looking at is a buying opportunity as things come down, probably quite significantly deeper from this point. So you can choose the way you play it. You wait until the long opportunity comes, or you trade the short for a bit and then flip positions, because the numbers are, the numbers from the global economy is showing that we are actually growing. But it's just that the United States indices and the United States equity market overcooked. It just got way too high. So that potential shorts in some of those.
With the FTSE when it opens in 10 minutes time, are you going to look for a trade there or no?
Yes, I will, mate. Just so everybody's aware, I've taken that FTSE order out of the market, and the reason that I've done that is that I think, considering what Trump said and considering the potential for contested election and what's going on with the VIX, the S&P, and oil, and everything else that we discussed right now, I think what we need to see is some basing out. So I will potentially trade today, but only if I see the market holding up. The technical levels I will still trust. And I want to see how the market reacts to what we've heard so far. We are seeing a bit of a sell-off, and that sell-off is magnified. We're down from the highs on the FTSE 100 around about 2% and a bit, which is in the course of a few hours is quite a lot. But there's no reason to suggest right now that the market won't base out at some point in this area. But we need to see a base out. I'm not going to trade a spike down and spike up, because I'm not at this stage confident that we've just got a nice retracement and then we go again, considering what Trump's just said. So with the current information we have, then we need to allow the market to tell us what's coming, rather than assuming that we know how the market's going to react to the uncertainty, because we know what uncertainty does. It tends to cause sell-offs.
Makes for a very interesting day tomorrow, where we've got the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. We've got the FOMC statement, not necessarily tomorrow for most of us, but overnight tomorrow night. And it doesn't end there, because, of course, Friday's NFP. I think my thought process hasn't changed, because I wanted to trade both the FOMC statement and the NFP this week, but I wanted the result to be clear in the election before I did that. I'm wondering now, and I'll have to rethink this, exactly how I'm going to play that. And I was looking for a potential pound trade as well. I think that may have to be on hold now. We'll see how the market reacts, as you say.
Yeah, euro pound popping to the upside, isn't it? Quite a strong move as well.
Yeah, interesting. That's, of course, potentially giving me a better price, but we'll see how that pans out as well. In fact, there's quite a lot of things that are potentially giving me a very, very good price, and I'll whip through those in a tick if you're done.
Yes, absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. The anybody want to have a look at their daily bars right now? It's way early, but I really like to do this sometimes. Look at the daily bars on some of these indices, and just have a look around your own charts and see what they look like. They're looking pretty ugly.
I'm really keen to have you guys do this. I think we're all about charts, and I want us in charts as quick as we can be in charts. But I do want to go around the room again, please. And what I want to know is this: where you think we are. Is Trump a victor in all but name? Does Biden have a clear path to victory, or is it actually just not clear yet? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Thanks, Jeff.
I don't think it's clear yet, but I'm of the opinion now that Trump is not clearly winning. Otherwise, why is he going to the Supreme Court? So I think there's doubt over that.
It's a great thing, Jeff, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to the Supreme Court. He just loves saying outrageous things. I'm going to go across the group from who I can see in the cameras next. Next one for me, Shukri. Is Trump clear? Is Biden clear? Or is it just not clear?
I think Trump is not clear. That's why he's just saying all these things. But it's good for us because it buys us time to go in for some good buys. That's what I think. And we will continue on this crypto at 7:50 p.m. tonight.
Great, mate. We need to get out. What time are you on?
7:50 p.m.
I keep forgetting that. I'm looking at my clock thinking, gosh, it's nearly 9 o'clock. You guys are supposed to be on. But, of course, it's 9 o'clock in New Zealand and it's 4 o'clock over there. So we've got plenty of time. I do apologise. Ainsley, where are we with this election?
I'm with Jeff on this one. It's quite indecisive, although we're looking at electoral count. I'm just looking at the 235 Biden, 213 Trump. That's just come up on the Bloomberg. So Biden wins Arizona is what's come across the bottom, but every time that
Arizona and Georgia, I think, would be enough. I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think Arizona and Georgia would probably get him there.
Yeah, so that's quite a leap from 224. He's gone to 235. So that's quite a few more states, a few more seats that he's got there. So it's it's starting to look a little bit towards the Biden side. I think it's not clear, but I think we're in for a bumpy ride after everything's counted.
Boy, they're certainly doing lots of different options on CNN. I can see them both going up and down as he changes every one. Next along is Orlando.
Yeah. Again, I agree with Jeff. This is looking pretty tight as a race. But from yesterday, I knew that this was going to happen, that Trump was going to maybe not declare early victory, but yes, declare some kind of a setup being triggered or something for him to be able to go to the courts and to try to stop the absentee ballot count, right, for tomorrow, etc. Now, I just saw that Associated Press on the wires that Biden wins Arizona, so it settled that. And I mean, I do see some as right now, I do believe that Biden has what it takes. I mean, it has a possibility to win. He has a possibility to win this race. I wasn't so sure at the beginning, right? Because I mean, the earlier numbers showed a big lead on the Biden side, but I mean, you can't trust the early numbers in an election, right? But right now, yeah, I do believe that he has a little bit of an edge to come, in front of this one. And if that happens, I mean, and what we just saw here on U.S. equities, that I mean, that 1.5% dip, fast dip on the Nasdaq, for example. I mean, that should tell us that maybe the market is pricing in and a Biden win. I don't know, but that's my thought on this.
Yeah, look, we missed it, didn't we? There has been a move, hasn't there? Cheers, Orlando. Yeah. So excuse me, guys. I'm still doing a bit with this thing. We've heard from Jeff. Ash, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a Biden win. I think Biden's got it now, but I think that there's probably going to be a little bit of shuffling around for two reasons, really. I think firstly that Trump, the question that Trump might contest it is one thing, but also if Biden does win, obviously we've got a new president, and there might be just a bit of uncertainty about what's he going to do. Ultimately, I think this is really just noise, and I think we probably get through a couple of weeks of noise potentially. But I don't think it changes everything on my overall view. And my overall view is that the market is starting to improve. So I'm still looking for longs in the FTSE. But I think maybe the uncertainty about what a Biden presidency will bring, or the potential for Trump to contest it for a little while, might just put things on hold. So I'm looking for buying opportunities, mate. I just need a slightly clearer picture with it. I do think that the US equities will suffer, and I'd still be of the thought that if there is a short in the market, it would be with oil in the US equities. But I think that ultimately all this stuff just calms down, and we do look for the longs in the market. But I'm in the camp that we've got a Biden win. I don't know why Trump would say what he said unless he thought the same thing, and he knows probably more than we do. So I think Biden is probably going to have his name on the presidential chair by the end of the week. I think that they'll probably whether it's contested or not. I think he will be the one in the hot seat at that particular point.
Cool. I'm gonna go with too close to call, and that either one of these guys could be declared the winner by Friday. I think I'd rather see Biden win it than Trump, but I don't see in the numbers. I see clear pathways for either of them, and there's this they're just talking about how many ballots there are in Pennsylvania, and that's really cool. And look, Chris was just saying that Biden flips Arizona, and what's happening here? This is one of the things when you watch the coverage for this kind of stuff, you've got to understand is that what happens is that the news media says this channel. So Bloomberg says it's happened, and CNN doesn't, and it's only their opinion of the outcome. So when they declare Arizona for Biden, one news channel says that he's going to win it, and one news channel says that it's not clear yet, so they don't declare it. So this is why these things are quite messy in the States. And at the end of the day, only the returning officer can say who won it, and they won't be doing that till at least tomorrow, probably the day after, maybe a week away for some of them. So these are numbers that were given, and Trump's pretty pissed about Arizona being called for Biden, and the Arizona thing again. I don't think that, as much as I imagine it's Bloomberg that are awarding it to Biden, I don't know that it's clear. It looks that way to me. But it's not clear, and I don't think you can tell if they're going to happen. So I'm going to stay with not clear. Look, I'm going to ask the team this. If you've got a chance to have a look at and things to have a look at, and we can get into this market, I'm keen to stay to do that. My impression is for the next couple of days, what we're going to see is a choppy market, not a trend. We're going to see it pop down, then pop back up on some rumor, and then pop back down on some rumor, and pop back up on some rumor. And it's going to be quite hard trend trading for a few days, in my view. But it's only my view. I'm keen to hear from the team. And if anyone's got any thoughts on what this might be like for the next few days, I'd love to hear it. And if there's any chance, anything you want to have a look at, any other entries, I'm keen to have a look at those. Happy to stay for as long as you guys want to keep talking about this, and happy to wind it up. I don't think by staying we're going to see the result tonight. I don't think that's going to happen. But we can, if we've got some stuff to look at and trade, I'm happy to stay around and trade. Over to you guys to decide on that. Where are we up to, team?
I'm going to bow out. My main ones are all I've got inside bar followed by an inside bar followed by an inside bar, and I'm with you. Particularly gold, I'm just going to let it go because we need movement to see what goes, and it's only going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And we talked on TTR on Friday about trading the bottom of the range and the top of the range, and we're still sitting inside that range. So I think gold's well out of play. Thank you, Ainsley. Jeff, what are you going to do?
Yeah, look, quite clear. I'm going to share some charts, but I won't comment too much on them. They're pretty much the same as I've been through for the most part, but there are a few different ones that I just want to show you guys, and nothing is going to change this.
Let me just go around the team and see what they're all going to do before you do that, if that's okay. Ash, you staying or going?
If we're staying for a bit, then I'm more than happy to stay. I've got it's not clear enough just yet, but there's a chance that I would get into a short with oil.
Okay, Orlando, staying or going?
I might say for a little while, but it's been a really long day for me. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy to stay in for a while.
Okay, but do jump out when you need to. You need to get some sleep before you do tea and hot sauce tonight. Shukri, you staying or going?
Yeah, I will.
Staying but coming back at 7:50, and this is what I'm going to tell you guys at 7:50. Okay, 7:50 p.m. tonight. Let's look at this. What's happening here in cryptos? Because you guys have to understand, cryptos is a very tricky market. So it's good that Bitcoin is dumping, but I'm not looking at this. I'm looking for trades, but not necessarily Bitcoin, because I want to wait till it comes to support, right? But I'm looking at this, which is the resistance point of the Bitcoin dominance.
Let me hold you up for a second here, Shukriya. I just told Jeff he couldn't finish doing his charts, so I checked who was going to stay and who was going to go.
Okay.
So you can't do your charts. He's done his charts. I can't do them. Let's get to Jeff and have a look at some charts.
Okay,
If we can find a trade, I'll have a look through the market and see if I can find a trade. The rest of the team will do the same thing. I'm sort of the same as everybody else. Look, if there's trades around, I'm keen to stay and take the trades. And if it starts to fade away, I'm happy for it to fade away. Jeff, back to you.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to find a trade that's going to trigger any time soon.
I'll be on CNN.
Yeah, cheers, mate. But everything's still clear to me because nothing has changed. The Euro CAD still hasn't taken out this double top. So therefore, I'm still looking short, and it looks like I might get a better price than I anticipated. That might even be right up here somewhere where we get a break above here. Then we come back underneath. The pivots are in play. And even if we get underneath, above and underneath the pivots, then I'm happy to go short Euro CAD. So that hasn't changed. CAD Swiss, I've got an order long in the market. It is only an order at this point. It's not a trade. And I'm entering above here. So I don't know whether I need to stay with that at the moment or wait for a better price. I think I'll do both. I'll leave it in the market because I don't think anything's going to change dramatically in terms of market sentiment. I think if anything, it'll continue on its path at the moment. And if that's the case, then this entry won't be bothered. If, however, the market does shift sentiment for whatever reason, and I don't see why that would change in terms of the election at present, because I think the counting probably won't mean too much. But if it does, it does, and I want to be in that move if it does come. So that's CAD Swiss. I'm a bull. Aussie CAD. I'm also a bull Aussie CAD, and I have reason to think that although we've come off this big triple top, we have very, very quickly, I won't say reversed the trend, but we've certainly broken the trend line, and in very, very quick fashion. And this big buy bar that, as I said, with the risk on scenario that we had Monday, Tuesday, yesterday's bar with all sorts of reasons for the Aussie not to rally, including the interest rate announcement and the buying that they're about to embark upon, still rallied. And if you take the line across oil and give that to the CAD, then I think this is a buy as well. How do we get in here is the question. I'd really like to see a close below these pivots on the current bar, which is the daily bar, and then I would place an order of it. But I'm not going to place that right now. I need to see what that bar actually does look like tomorrow. Aussie Kiwi, also a bull. If I can find that chart, there it is. And very, very similar to what we just saw on Aussie CAD. The one thing I would like to know is why the Kiwi is strong today. That's got me concerned, and this would want to be a gilt-edged setup before I took it. Or I would need to know exactly what that's all about. Why is the Kiwi the strongest of the commodity currencies today? But when I look at that, I would love to have seen this pierce above that monthly pivot a little bit more, but this really does look like a fake out to me, and I'll be looking to trade that tomorrow. I do want to do a bit of research into why the Kiwi is strong today, though. That concerns me a little bit with that trade. Euro Kiwi is another. There we go. And I've got to be bearish this, and based on what I saw today, that is interesting, and I'm loving the fact that we're getting a decent rally here, so we may get a good price on this as well. The reason I'm so bearish is because, pardon me, this structure has broken down. That's the ascending channel. It's also at the confluence area of last month's monthly pivot, which was retested. the support trade line at the same time was retested, and we've come off it since. So we're getting, to my mind, a good price here if we can find a way in, and that'll probably be on a 4-hour chart or something. But again, I want to see the daily close. I'd love to see it close up here somewhere. That would be good. And then we can drill down into the 4-hour charts. Maybe tomorrow, maybe even US session. I don't know. We'll see. We need to have a break of resistance, and then that become a false break before I'll trade it. That's Euro Kiwi. 2 to go. Euro Pound still on my watch list, and this is also giving me a clear setup at the moment with this bull bar. There would be a good reason to think that there's a trade short underneath that bar, depending on how it closes. Again, this is the daily chart, and I see no reason to jump into this. Maybe we get above the pivots, and that turns into a false break again, and we can trade it from there, which of course is the best way to trade it. So I see the big double top sitting here. We are at a very, very significant level where we've poked through it since 2016, 5 times, and been unable to sustain anything above that level. So lower high here, perfect, exactly what we're looking for. False break of that line again, as I said. Last one, and again, oh no, it's the first one I gave you, but it's also my favorite, isn't it? I'm sure you guys who have been watching me trade, and certainly in my strategy group, will be sick of me talking about it. But EuroCAD to me is every day a sell until this level's taken out. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So there you go. There's 6 pairs that I am very, very keen on, and very, very interested in having a look at those tomorrow morning. Not necessarily today, but I think tomorrow morning when the dust settles a little bit, and certainly after the election, these big pictures will come back into play. I see absolutely no reason why they won't. So that big double top, which we've been haunting or hunting for many, many moons, will still be what I'm chasing. And the same on all of those other pairs that I mentioned. So I think I'm going to be a busy boy. Maybe not this week, but certainly come Monday, I think there'll be a lot of opportunities for me to trade this market in the directions I've indicated. So that's me, mate. Oh, actually, I'm in here, aren't you? You're listening to Bloomberg or something. I'm in favour of wrapping up as soon as possible, because I don't see me taking any trades, and I don't see the market moving too much in this session, to be fair. Although Ash may have a different opinion on that. With, as I said before, we've now got an open market in the UK. What's it doing, mate?
Yeah, actually, it's holding up pretty well. So, you know, I am looking for the longs, the potential longs in the FTSE, and the market has held up pretty well. It has bounced off the weekly pivot. Interestingly, I'm just going to show you this these charts and see what the way I'd like to play it. This gives me a little bit more confidence. Now we've had the one bounce off the weekly pivot. Where are we? There we go. Here we go. So we've had this one bounce off the weekly pivot, and it's been pretty strong. Pretty strong.
See, Dennis, enjoy the beer and enjoy the footy.
Yeah, pretty strong bounce off the weekly pivot, but you can see that there's a potential lower high here, but a nice bounce off the weekly pivot. That to me might be an area that I can scale in. You know, I probably will do. The strategy for it though will be to try and take some of the profit between these two levels potentially. But I like this level now, mate. I like this level. I'd quite like to see the FTSE ease to the downside. I mean, if we look across the board as well, the VIX is interesting, because we talked about the VIX popping to the upside and then popping back down again, which is possibly going to create this opportunity here with the VIX as a long trade. Now we have to treat this as a false breakout. We've got a touch here, touch along there, touches here as well. So it looks to me like this is the level here with this little false breakout here, and the daily pivot. Now this looks a lot cleaner, pretty much than anything else because it is retracing into that daily pivot. So VIX for a little bit of upside looks like it could well be on. Things have settled down just a little bit. Let's have a look at the S&P. Different picture on the S&P. This is not under that daily pivot, so not quite as clean with the S&P to kind of suggest that we are moving lower. And I don't think we have broken through levels on the S&P either. It's that one's too scruffy to trust. I think the S&P genuinely could go either way at this particular point. Nasdaq would be the one that I'd be the most interested in shorting anyway. So let's have a look at the Nasdaq in a little bit more detail and see what we've got here. So technically speaking, the Nasdaq on this weekly chart looks to me like it's creating some kind of M-topping pattern. Now, if we go down to the dailies on this one, where's the level is the question. And it's starting to become a little bit harder because I've got this trend line under here. M-topping pattern on the dailies has already formed here. So we know just from the way that this chart looks that there is some weakness here. This bar is unformed, but currently looking like it could cause a little bit of an issue. So we're going to have to go down some time frames and see if we can get any more clarity on where the short is. According to the daily, I'd say the short along this level looks probably the most likely. Now let's see what that level gives us. Not a great deal. Let's just have a look on some pivots. That level was there. That level was right along there. There's nothing else in the way. So you can't really trade a Nasdaq. And do you know what? And I sometimes find, mate, I put my levels in, and I'd encourage everybody to do this. Try and pick an area that you'd like to trade from. If there's not enough in that area, wait a day, because what could happen is that these pivots might, the daily pivot might pop to the upside, and be somewhere around your price point, and then you've got something to kind of go on. There's a fib from this high down to this low. That's not going to be good enough, because we're in an uptrend really. This is still trending to the upside, and the market's actually holding on fairly well at this particular stage, which is why I don't mind the FTSE on a weekly pivot potentially for a long. But things have slowed right up. Now, where I'd be interested in oil would be somewhere along here, this line along here. Now that's still a little way to go. Now you can see that the pivots again are in the way. So it might be another case of going, well, the pivots aren't there. The pivots are quite low. That looks like the sweet spot, because this looks like if we get the reversal pattern, it looks like we've got this going on. And then we've got our head and shoulders pattern going on there. And I'd be much more comfortable if I saw this as some kind of reversal pattern, rather than kind of like looking at an area down here and saying, well, there's a weekly pivot there, so let's trade it short, because this is a neckline, and the neckline is much more likely to hold up, I would have thought. So I'm not interested in trading.
Having missed all of that move already, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking for a pop to the upside, and actually that does suggest that that we might well get at minimum some sideways price action, but at best possibly even a bit of risk on. That's the way I'm looking right now, mate. Things are constantly changing, aren't they, of the way we're looking at this market and having to look at this market. And the election hasn't finished yet. And I think it's probably going to make it very, very difficult for traders to really make a call on this. So that's where I go back to technical levels and say, well, if I was going to trade this, where would I trade it from with the highest degree of safety? Now, if I did manage to get in, it
also kind of raises the question, doesn't it? What is the market now thinking? Is the market now thinking, okay, let's forget the election for now. They'll start counting again tomorrow. We'll get more information tomorrow. Or is it still weighing on the minds of the market, and the market's going, ooh,
Well, this is where I think that's a really interesting point, mate, because I've got to be honest. I think it's just noise. I think all of this, the election stuff. Okay, we're going to get a president by the end of the day, but I think all of it ultimately is going to end up being just a load of noise because
which is what I'm saying by going to the bigger picture. Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which is why we just get back and go, okay, well, if that is the situation, and there's not really going to be anything significant that's going to happen in the election, except for the fact that we're going to get a president by the end of it, then where will we trade from? What are we looking at? If we believe that there's going to be a Biden win, there is a suggestion that oil goes to the downside. If you like equities, then you could always trade a FTSE long scenario with an oil to the downside as a bit of a hedge. So that's and then it comes down to, so where would I want to get in? What's the price point that I'm going to be interested in? And all I'm doing right now is just picking out interesting price points. But FTSE, you look at the FTSE, it's actually held up pretty well. And I come back to the CAPE ratio with the FTSE is a suggestion that the FTSE is cheap in this particular area. So it looks pretty good right now for a continued rally. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to trade it long anywhere but down here, because I think what I'm now trying to do is find the range. Where is the range on the FTSE? Where's the lower end of the range? And so far it looks like it's between these points now. It wasn't as low as I thought it was. It was at that upper point of the range that I discussed earlier on. But unfortunately, the bounce has happened too fast. So I'm just looking to see whether maybe it holds up here and comes back down again. But if it does come down again at this stage, then I'm quite keen to go long on it now. Nothing else. Look at Ethereum. Ethereum is not really going anywhere, and many of these markets aren't really going anywhere. So I wonder whether, as I say, at worst we get a range, and at best we get a trend to the upside. It doesn't appear to be the case that we are going to get a big move down, which is why the VIX I find so difficult to kind of to look at. And what I'd really want to see to give me confidence that we are going long would be a VIX back in its area again. If we can tuck back down with the VIX, and the VIX does create something which I'm guessing would be kind of slingshot territory, or almost, mate, where we get back under the trend line. And rather than looking at a potential higher low here, the VIX actually comes down and then pops back to the upside, and then it looks like that's going lower. That would give me a bit more confidence that we've got an upward trend. So I'm kind of waiting on the VIX to fall into line with the other information, because the other information at this stage suggests actually we may well get a further boost to the upside here.
I want to hear what Powell says, because now it's like, when stimulus? That's what everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, Shukri. Do you know what though? As I keep coming back to, the numbers in the US have been holding up. So I don't think that they've got anything to do at this stage. I think if anything, Powell probably says we're just going to keep things on track. I don't think that that there's any reason for them to get back involved in this market at this stage, because the numbers, I don't know if you saw the ISM yesterday, but it was a good number, like a really good number.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. So there's quite a few of these numbers that are kind of starting to suggest that the data is not suggesting that we are in too much trouble. And for that reason, I think that if we consider the US election just being a load of noise and just go back to the numbers, then we start looking for longs in some of these markets and not worry too much about what might be the result by the end of the week, and use the US election as a potential buying opportunity in some things. Not necessarily in the US equities. I'll be moving away from that, but certainly in the FTSE, and certainly with cryptos potentially as well.
I think that's 3 out of 3. Shukri, you're in the same boat as the pair of us, isn't it? Let's get this noise out of the way and get on with the job.
Yeah. Let's get on with the job. There's a moon to go to, delaying liftoff. This is not fair.
Yeah.
But you're getting a good price, right? Is it still going down or not?
Yeah. See, what I want to see is Bitcoin dumping to that support line. But what I'm going to look at, and tonight I'm going to see more, is when Bitcoin dumps, do the small coins go up? Because while waiting for Bitcoin to go down, or waiting while Bitcoin is going down, we can buy the small coins, and then we just flip again. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm holding a Cardano position. I've got Ethereum as well, but I'm holding this Cardano position, and Cardano's
Cardano is up. That's what I said. When Bitcoin dumps, the smaller ones come out and play.
It's holding at the minute.
Yeah.
So I'm not too excited. I've been in this one for quite a while. It's just like, yeah, it's not really doing what I want it to do. So I've got a few positions that are.
Yeah. For Cardano, I think there's news coming out. They're about to announce the smart contract. So if they have a smart contract platform, technically more people should develop on that. But you know Charles, right? You can ask Jeff about Charles. We've talked about this before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Cardano would be a buy on a Charles hype because he knows how to hype stuff.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm just looking across the board as well. The FTSE 100 stocks that are in positive territory. I've got AstraZeneca popping to the upside right now. British American Tobacco popping to the upside. So I'm looking at some of these and saying, well, there's a few of those kind of cyclical stocks, if you like. I mean, AstraZeneca is more defensive, but certainly British American Tobacco more of a cyclical stock. And then if we look to the downside, we've got some of those construction stocks also popping to the downside, and banks. So some of the cyclical ones are popping down. So when I'm looking at the picture here, we got around about 50% in positive territory and 50% negative. It does feel like a bit of a hedge play. That's what the market feels that seems like it's doing right now. It wants to continue to go higher, but it looks like just a bit of defensive, a little bit of defensive buying is also coming into play. Not massively, but it looks like some defensive buying is also coming into play. So not incredibly bullish, but certainly bullish enough to suggest that we probably aren't going to fall significantly. I would have thought.
AKA not 100% sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. There's just looking across the board and some of those you kind of know when the market's going to really go on a tear to the upside, because you see some of those really high speculative stocks posting some really good gains, and that's not really happening so much, and it doesn't look like the baton is really being carried by anybody that's trading anything too presidential right now, if you like. You know, it's almost business as normal, where we're just sort of where we just buy. You know, some of the buying that's really going on is making a general play, but with just a little bit of defensive. A few defensive stocks as well in the portfolio, just in case. But doesn't look like a lot of worry. Just a little bit of concern, but not a lot of worry. As you can see here with the VIX, the VIX isn't flying, is it? You know, it's easing back down. The euro is flying, which again, risk on. You know, that's the way I'd be looking at the euro. Euro, is that euro dollar or just euro against some other stuff? Let's have a look at the euro yen
across the board.
Yeah, look at the euro yen. So we were looking at potential yen strength earlier on. Now the euro yen's popping to the upside. Now we can tell usually quite a lot from what happens with the yen. Pound yen is actually lower, so the pound's in a bit of trouble today by the looks of things. Dollar yen looks like that's going higher. Not a risk off attitude, mate, in the market. Let's have a look at the Aussie. Yeah, that's a little bit weaker. I mean, this is almost case in point, isn't it? The people aren't buying the yen for protection, but they're not really buying the risk on currencies either. So they're somewhere in that middle band. And I suppose maybe the euro can fall within that bracket, as can the dollar as well. The dollar can fall into risk off or risk on. And I wonder whether the dollar might maybe get a push from that particular point.
Crystal, I forgot the trade. Wow. Okay. And that would be flying also at the moment, wouldn't it? Oh, no, be just in. Oh, terrible candle to trade. Terrible candle on pound. Sorry, those of you who don't know, it's a thing we do, trading the pound breakout, which was great yesterday and good the day before. But no, I wouldn't be trading it on that candle. I don't believe it's too big. yeah, 75 odd pips. No, thanks. Sorry, mate, I interrupted.
No, well, the question is how do you want to play this market? And if you want to play it in the way that the professionals look like they're playing it, you buy a bit of both. You try and get somewhere in the middle. You don't commit to anything in one direction. You buy the FTSE, you sell WTI. That kind of play. Where you don't just put your eggs in one basket. You don't put your eggs in the one direction. Because it doesn't appear at this stage that is the kind of market that we have. The market that we have is that there is some speculators that are picking up some expansive stocks, but they're also selling some of those cyclical stocks as well. And that does look like a market which is slightly in balance, if not tipped slightly to the upside, and that's what I'm seeing. So if there's a buying opportunity with the FTSE, I will be trading it, but I'll also be taking a sell in WTI if I can get it.
Yeah, my position hasn't changed. I'm firmly convinced that I don't need to trade today until those daily charts tomorrow close, and I'll look to get into the market then, I think.
Yeah, I think that's
so
fair,
I'm
mate.
about done.
Yeah, I guess I am, because you just don't know when things are going to appear, do you? You don't know when the opportunity is going to arise. I'm going to watch these charts like a hawk though for the next few hours, but I can't guarantee that there's anything on offer.
Yeah, I might poke in every hour or so, but 3 hours in front of the charts just about does me, and that's kind of where I've been now. So I lose interest after that, to be honest.
Fair point. Fair enough, mate.
Need to refocus.
I'll be in a second, guys.
Yeah, right, mate. No drama. So we'll wait for PB.
3 hours in the evening. I've done enough. And again, I'm also keen, if there's a trade, I'm keen to take the trade, but I'm also when it's done, it's done. And I think tomorrow we're going to find out who wins this election. But I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okie dokie. Righto. I might have a look at the euro. Why not?
Yeah, okay, mate.
I'm not sure I'll find anything, and certainly, as I've said before, against the dollar, I don't want to trade on 30-minute charts right now, but I want to see what's going on and why. Is there a technical reason why we're bouncing here? That's the question. Look, it's the same story. It really is the same story. We were at this level on Friday. We were at 116.44. We've had an election. It's not done and dusted, but we are now 30 pips away from that level. That's telling me, and the chart's telling you, whoops, it doesn't know. It's got no idea. So this is just, I guess, these guys taking a bit of profit maybe. I don't see anything there that's particularly nasty or particularly revealing, to be honest. I think this is just exactly where we were pretty much on Friday. So, yeah, I don't see a change, to be honest. Euro CAD, you could probably say the same thing. If you have a look at the daily chart, which we are, on Friday, we closed here. We are within 30 pips of that as well. So really, we're just going up and down in the one spot. And I think that's probably going to be a theme. Daily chart on Euro Pound.
Friday, in all sorts of trouble, isn't it, mate? I mean, looking at, I'm looking at the Euro Pound as well. It's all sorts of trouble today. I'm seeing a week against the dollar. And it's interesting, really, isn't it, that we've been looking at these markets and sort of saying, what should we trade? And I have to say, I didn't really consider that there could be a trade in Euro Pound today.
Well, look at that. Where's price been since May? It's been there exactly where we are now.
Yeah. Just didn't
So
think we were going to get
it's-
such a strong bounce, off something
Yeah.
that seemed less connected than most other things that seem to be in a really tight kind of tightly confined. And the market throws us a curveball and says, you know what, I won't bother trading those tight ones. Then let's just let's flip to the euro pound and trade that instead, because
well, that was my
is
thought process. So I get it. Yeah.
right.
I absolutely get it. But whether this is just a bounce off a trend line, or whether it's a move related to Brexit, or whether it's the fact that we've got the MPC meeting tomorrow, there's all sorts of reasons why this could be happening.
Yeah.
But if that's like it is this time, if that's like it is in the morning, I will have a good look at it, because I think there's potential trade short here. We shall see.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Just looking at the most recent results, Biden up by 238, 32 left to win it.
Yeah, they're going to be the hardest ones, I think, the 32 that remain. But, it is what it is. I don't know. But that Trump, and I didn't listen to the speech, but the fact that he was angry before it and is saying, well, let's go to our friends at the Supreme Court who'll rule in my favor, it tends to suggest to me that he's in trouble.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does indeed at this stage.
And as you say, he'll know more than we do.
Yeah, do you know what though? I go back to, and I don't know why they did this, but with at times like this, I have to go back to Brexit. Nigel Farage was delivering a defeat speech, and then all of a sudden, within moments, that changed. And I wonder, could history repeat itself, where Trump is almost kind of thrown in the towel in a way, the tone of what he said was, looks like we've lost by the numbers, but still, could there be a surprise by the end of it? And don't get me wrong, I think that there's a Biden win here, but I, whenever I kind of see a close thing like this, and somebody kind of throws in the towel without really knowing the numbers, I go back to what happened with Brexit. Now, it's possible that Nigel Farage knew that they had won, and with his buddies in the city, he came out and gave a defeat speech so they could make a nice play with the pound. There is theories going around that was the case with Farage, but if you believe that he was being completely honest, things did really just change on a sixpence.
Interesting. It's all very interesting, but at the end of the day, if I can't see a clear way to trade it, then it is just noise to me.
Yeah.
And I can't see a clear way to trade it. So it is what it is, I suppose.
Yeah.
Crystal, if you're still in the room, and you're talking about the pound trade, I wonder, did you get into that pound yen on the hourly chart? If you can get through here, you might do okay with that. But getting through here is going to be a bit of an issue, one would have thought. But nice retest as well. So there's another way to look at it. And you've probably got a trade line there that suggests you've got a bit of help as well. There you go. As I say, tough to get through here, but if it does, you'd be looking okay, I would have thought. Didn't enter any trades. Okay, I think that's a very wise decision, certainly on an hourly chart. But we shall see. Shukri, did you finish with your charts, mate, by the way? I think we got a little bit mixed up there about half an hour ago.
Yeah, we'll continue tonight, 7:50.
Okay. Another ad.
Another one, yeah. And we'll look at the dominance chart, because that will determine if another market is going up. So, Bitcoin is like what you said, is Miyagi. It's wax on, wax off. Wax on means Bitcoin goes up, the alts go down. Wax off means Bitcoin goes down, the alts go up. So we'll only know today or tomorrow, but let's see at 7:50.
In Crypto Moon, right?
Yep, Crypto Moon.
And of course, US session begins at 9:15, guys, on the very same channel. So it's still all happening on YouTube today. Pound, dollar, and yen looks like setting up for tomorrow's short. Pound, dollar, and pound, yen. Let me have a look. Pound, yen short for tomorrow. Could be. What would I like to see? Nothing there clear for me, really, I've got to say. The daily is telling me, pardon me, that the rest of the market's suggesting short here. And you know what I think about when the rest of the market's suggesting short. I'm looking the other way. So that would need to be a white bar for me to trade it short. And I don't think that that's going to happen. But yeah, anything could happen. There's absolutely nothing there to suggest that that anything can't happen, because anything can happen and generally will. But again, I go back to my bias, and my bias is bounce off the bottom. Yes, we've bounced clear of this inner ascending channel, if you like, but the bigger picture is still telling me bounce time off here. It could be a mess here for a while. I can't trade it long because I'd have to get back into there before I did. But I can't trade it short either at the moment until I get the right candle, and I don't trade black bars short. That may be to my detriment, but I can totally see what you're saying. If I'm a trend trader or I trade that candle short, then I totally get where you're coming from. The pound itself, which is where here. Yeah, I'll be trading that long tomorrow. Sorry. If that candle closes as it is, that's a beautiful candle for me, because it's coming across all the pivots. It already broke the pivots. That's a classic double cross for mine on the pivots, and it's also a pretty classic slingshot setup. So I'll be trading that long tomorrow. A little bit of risk in it because you're trading straight into that high of, what was it, 2 weeks ago. So that is going to be a bit risky. You'd need to control that by taking profit at that level, around about 30, 35 pips. But yeah, I'll be telling my groups to trade that long tomorrow if the candle closes exactly as it is now. The reward available, let me have a look at that. And we're still trading against the dollar. I just talked myself out of it, because that bar there is technically a lower high after we've come back into the range as well. No, this is but the long setup is good in terms of an entry, but in terms of reward to risk, no. And the reward, of course, the risk, of course, with the unknown election result. Descending triangles, double cross, yes, absolutely. Can't ignore the double cross. Long-term, weekly, and monthly descending triangles on pound US dollar. Monthly. You mean big picture? Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. You'd be looking at probably this area. Something like that, perhaps. Let me get rid of the rectangle, make it a little clearer. Yeah, I like it. You've got a big trend line there as well, eh? I like what you're seeing. That's the monthly chart, of course, and the monthly chart is where I go for the first look and see where we need to go. Weekly, probably not as clear, but yeah, I get it. I get it. Nice. That kind of is indicating to me that we need to go to that area, to that bigger picture thing. And when I talk about that setup that is there, that's where you start to look for your risk factor. Because if you've got that triangle, which is suggesting that this will fall over time, then you'd want to have a really good reward available for the trade to go against that, and you've got to get very, very quickly into a safe position. So that would cater for that part. I've got that one covered if I'm thinking of going long. But the reward scenario, well, yeah, we could get back to there without any trouble. That's probably around about where your triangle is anyway. So I'm not ruling anything out. 400 odd pips available. A lot depends on the election, doesn't it, really? And I don't want to mess with that. I really don't. But when it's over, then yes, go back to those bigger pictures. And that bigger picture, there's a nice double top here. Yeah. I'm okay with the bias, no question. Okay, guys, I'm out of puff, and I'm probably looking at dinner very, very shortly. How's everyone else feeling?
Well, I'm not necessarily out of puff, mate, but I'm certainly out of an option. There really isn't an option to do anything right now. That the market is unlikely to take off, and it's not in a buy zone at this particular stage anyway. So I can't trade it long. I'm not going to trade it short, even though it's in the kind of upper end of that range. I do think it's probably going to be a bit rangy. Rather than anything else, and as I say, I would probably hold by the assumption that that whatever happens here, it's not really a breakdown scenario. I don't think the market's likely to break to the downside either way. So I am quite keen on the long trade, but I don't think the opportunity isn't there yet, and it could take a while. If this could be an hour, could be 4 hours, I just don't know. But I am looking at the FTSE on the weekly pivot for a potential long. Now it's bounced there once. That looks to me like where the range is going to be.
Happy days. As I said before, I see the markets pretty much where it was on Friday for all the currency pairs that I'm looking at. And for that reason, I'm, again, going to wait until tomorrow and wait for that result, and then go back to the bigger picture and trade the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Mate, thanks for taking 3.5 hours out of your day and coming and joining us, mate. It's always great to have you on these shows and have a look at some technical stuff. Nice you got the Aussie right, mate. You've been pretty clear on the Aussie long. Even though the interest rate cut came, you still got your Aussie long and made some money out of it. I love that. And, thanks for coming in for today. It's one of those shows that I've got to say for mine. It's like the election, right? It's a bit frustrating. It'd be really nice right now to have a winner, have a market 300 pips from here, and have us all with some money in the bank. But it didn't happen. And what we didn't do today was get sucked into some crap and lose some money. And I thought we made some good calls during the day as well about what was going on in the charts and what that meant. I thought we got in front of both CNN and Bloomberg in saying that the charts just didn't look like Trump was charging to victory anymore. I think that's a really, really good thing to have done. And, really enjoyed it. Looking forward, only 4 more years to wait, guys. We can do it again.
Good fun.
I don't think they've got a by-election process for presidential stuff in America that if they did, they could skip the by-election and just feed a small country for a little while and with the money. So I don't think I'll see you guys in 4 years for it. I do appreciate it. I like you and the team. And Jeff, thank you very much. Have a good nap before the year.
Welcome, buddy. Yep. Definitely. That's a good idea. A real good idea.
Ashley, you in the same boat? Are we winding up here?
Yeah, it's not near my price point, and things have calmed down sufficiently enough, I think, in the market to suggest that we might be in a bit of a. When Trump came out, there was enough volatility to kind of maybe take advantage of something. But now, until we get the result, I think that the volatility may well die down. So we're in a tight range now, and that is likely to be the case, I think, for a while. I don't think the market is going to go to the point I need to get in to do what I need to do.
Yeah, but I think that's fair. I think and to be honest, man, I think over the next couple of days we'll see it chop because I think we'll see some good news for Biden, then some good news for Trump, and we'll see it go one way then the other. And it won't really be until it becomes clear who's going to win. I think then we'll see a big move. Look, one thing the market showed us today, that if Trump wins, stock markets want to go up. And if Biden wins, stock markets want to come back down. It was pretty clear as those scenarios changed the direction that it wanted to go. We can watch that and keep an eye on that for the week ahead as it plays out. Thanks very much for your time, mate. Much appreciated. Much appreciate you getting up nice and early and coming in and joining us, mate. I know you've been enjoying the sleep-in since no UK Open show, so nice to have you in this morning. Shukri, thank you very much as well, mate. Nice to have your input on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Much appreciated, and for your sort of input into the whole thing as well. I appreciate you coming along and spending some time with us. I think the rest of the team, for some reason I can't see it properly because that's the Zoom talent. But to Alexis, who came and joined us and couldn't speak because of internet problems today, Ainsley, Orlando, also thank you very much for joining us today. And for you guys that have joined us online, YouTube, Facebook, or on the Zoom webinar, it is great to have your company. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night. Please we didn't throw any money away today, and we will talk again not too far away in some more trading shows.